going on, everybody? This is the Functional Gentleman. We're your hosts, Roy Gravis, Bucky Pender. We have Lucas Perk in the middle as a guest host today.
Special guest co-host.
And I'm going to go ahead and drop something on you. It's 108. No, you still sucks.
I hate you.
So, yeah.
You know what? We couldn't get through one day, could we?
No.
Not even one full day.
I had the shirt, no. I didn't give you the most shit yesterday, though. That was what the funny part was.
The whole time I was out there with y'all, which wasn't very long.
You were there for about an hour and a half, roughly.
You talked the least amount of crap.
I know. It was everybody else around me, which is shocking.
I know.
Because, mind you, we're standing next to each other watching this game at a buddy of ours' house who does a pig roast.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, how do y'all get along? I was like, fantastic, except for a couple of days out of the year. And oddly enough, yesterday we got along really well, considering it was Texas OU. And the Red River.
Well, it's a special occasion, right? It's kind of like
it is.
Christmas and 4th of July. We all just come together and enjoy football, but at the same time really hate on Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
You're not even from here. You don't count.
I didn't prompt him on that neither. There was no prompt, no text message, nothing.
I just come in and they download the Texas.
There you go. There you go.
Whenever I fly in.
They download it when he hits the airport. He hits the airport. It's like, here, you're an honorary Texan, Texas Fight, Old Smoky, Big Bertha, Bevo, and Oklahoma. They hand it to him in a packet.
Oh.
Especially if you fly into Austin, they hand it to you in a packet.
Be careful what colors you wear.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Don't fly in wearing the wrong colors. So, in addition to Lucas, I have a special
I know, and this has drove
surprise
my
guest.
anxiety through the roof for the last 4 days since
And
I
if
found
you're
this
ready,
out.
I am going to go ahead and bring him on.
I'm always ready, I guess. I don't know who the crap it is, but I'm always ready.
Is it Santa?
Maybe.
Santa Claus.
I couldn't be that lucky, first of all. I could not be that lucky.
Look at that
Look
man.
at this dude.
Oh, boy.
Well, what's going on?
What kind of shape are you in after yesterday is what I want to know. Because Boomer Sooner did not happen. They didn't even get off the bus. He's like, look, I don't give a shit if tomorrow is your birthday. We're next subject already. That's fantastic. How's the cigar business up in the DFW?
It's going very, very well.
Good.
We had an event last night, actually.
Very
right
nice.
after the game.
Very nice.
Right after the game.
Sweet.
Were you still managed to be in somewhat of a jovial mood at your event, even though it didn't go your way? I gotta ask. I gotta ask. Oh, did you see my shirt, by the way, Sherwan?
So,
yeah, Bucky, how you doing today, bro?
I'm good. How are you, buddy?
It's like I'm done with this dude already.
So,
A minute and a half in, and I'm done with him already.
there's been a couple things going on.
Okay.
As you just said, tomorrow is your birthday.
It is the ripe old age of 43 years old.
Our-
43 years on the planet.
Our great friend Sherwan and Heart of a Lion Cigar Co. just celebrated their anniversary.
Yes, they did.
And released their anniversary
Look
cigar.
at those.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Gold label.
those are magnificent.
So this is the second part of your birthday present.
Yay, I like cigars.
We get to do the
Yay.
Heart of a Lion.
Yay. I like cigars. Ooh. I have a special one. Do you smoke cigars?
I do, yeah.
I have a special one then. I'll share it with you.
Perfect.
All
Because
right.
I had done this before I knew you was coming on, so I apologize.
That's okay.
I'm a terrible person.
right.
Sherwan's going to be intrigued in this too. This is one they do not make anymore.
Really?
They do not make it.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it is a Warfighter. It is Warfighter's only barber pole. It was not a big success.
Yeah.
So therefore they discontinued it.
Nice.
And that is it. And it is a Connecticut Maduro barber pole. is what it
Good
is.
Lord.
So yeah,
Are you saying I can smoke this now or later?
you can smoke that whole thing whenever you want to, man.
All right.
It's your world. I'm just here.
We are going to light up, though, as long as you're okay with
Yeah,
that.
as long
Yeah,
as
for
you're cool
sure.
with it, we're going to light up.
So, Sherwan, can you kind of give us the rundown on what this anniversary cigar is all about, what it's celebrating? Just kind of let everybody know what you got going on.
Bucky's got the V cutter.
Yeah,
The
so,
V-cut.
you know, this cigar is to celebrate 2 years in business. Again, with all our cigars, they all have a story, right? And this cigar particularly was a thing to where I wanted to make sure I go off the grid a little bit. You know, speaking with the Maduros and the Connecticut's that I already have, and I said I want to go off the grid. So it was either going to be a Habano or a Sumatra wrap. So I went with the Sumatra wrap on this one
A man after my own heart.
because it was unique. and again, you know, I do have the Lionheart, which is another Sumatra rep that I do have, but it has a sweet cap on it. So this one I wanted to go with a little bit, you know, a little bit finer tobacco, of course. So I went with an aged Dominican and with a Sumatra wrap, Ecuador Sumatra wrap. So this cigar, I believe, is going to be one for the books, right? You know, we had the Leo in the magazine already. They got highlighted last month. I think this is another one that can go in the magazine and compete with a lot of them, you know, a lot of brands out there. So excited about this one, but this celebrates 2 years in business, the all gold label.
Man,
Out of a line cigar co.
if Disney wouldn't hit you with a copyright brand, you should call this the Mufasa, because that son gun is good. But I know Disney would hit you with some kind of stuff.
I don't know if they own the copyright to Mufasa.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to be the one to find out. But then again, I hear if you ain't been hit with a cease and desist, you ain't doing business right. So
Right.
It's a mark of honor at some point.
definitely a mark of honor. We got hit with one of those not too long ago.
What?
Oh, wow.
It's a long story. I'll tell you off air. It's a very long story.
Man. Oh, this is great.
Roy, thoughts?
That is deep leather.
Mm-hmm.
Deep leather. That's like almost God, dog. That's amazingly good. You outdone yourself with this one, my friend. Very much so.
And again, you know, I wanted to go back to trying to get some more of those earth tones in the blends. Again, all the cigars have a story. They have a different color band. That's the whole purpose. But I wanted to bring some spice to it. I wanted to bring some earth tones to it. A little bit of cedar as well, and a hint of sweetness on the back end. But I believe that this cigar is the top. But it's graded as an all medium. That's what I wanted. I did not want to overtake the King, which is our full body. And I didn't want to get, you know, too deep in the weeds on my Nicaraguan tobacco. So I didn't want anything like the Leo.
No, but, you did a good job with this one.
Yes,
100%.
Yes. So I'm loving it. I introduced it to a lounge last night as well, and their customer base, they loved it. So I hope you enjoy this line therapy.
Hey, we always love the line therapy here on the show. This one's, I don't know how. So you said it's a Sumatran wrapper, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But your filler, I feel like you blended your filler a little bit on this one. I feel like you're Nicaraguan Dominican on the filler.
It's not Nicaraguan.
Okay,
it's not Nicaraguan on this one.
Okay.
So you know when you talk about filler, you know it's rated at a 5-year age Dominican, but it's a little bit different. Similar to my Cameroon wrap,
okay.
The line therapy, but we went with the the Dominican Criollo 98 instead of the Seco Cubano. So
okay.
It's slightly different, but I wanted to mellow it out just a little bit, but still give you the umph that needed.
No, it's
to be graded at that full medium.
It definitely got that umph for sure, man. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. Yes,
that one is good.
I love hearing you talk about this stuff because you and I have a lot in common when it comes to product development, right?
Oh
yes.
Yeah, yes.
Because I think you messaged me on Facebook. I think after my last appearance on Functional Gentleman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked into your company and it's fantastic, dude. Do you sell any of these up in Montana at all?
He can ship them to your house.
Yeah,
I ship them. Ship to my house.
Ship them.
Well,
yeah, I can ship them.
That's what I'm doing now.
He's like, well, shit.
Well, I know you're up at DFW. I mean, because we do a lot of work up in Weatherford, Texas, and not too far away from here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, the trickiest thing when you're coming out with any kind of new products, I don't know much about cigars, so you'll have to forgive me, but what I can talk about is product development, and it's definitely like, you definitely want to give something that people like, but not exactly the same as what you did before.
Right.
And separate everything so it doesn't, just mumbo jumbo, not cannibalize your own market.
Right, yeah.
So,
right.
So it takes a lot of forethought to be able to do that, and you'd be surprised how many businesses don't think about it that way. I mean, even if you go up to like the GMC era, like the 1990s, and like the constant cannibalization in their business. So, I mean, even the Fortune 500 still get that sometimes.
Right.
So,
right.
That's awesome, man.
And the thing about it is, again, you may know whiskey and I may know cigars, but hey, they're one and the same when you think about creating blends,
Yeah.
what works together, what
It's the
doesn't
culture.
work. Right. So
Yeah.
I have a total of 8 different
Experimentation.
blends. 8 different blends, right? I have 7 on hand right now,
Sweet.
which I'll show you a few of them. You know about this one, the Queen here.
The Queen is legit. How is the Queen, by the way? How is the namesake of that cigar?
The Queen, she's actually shopping right now.
Of course.
we had an event last night, so she goes shopping, right?
There you go. There you go.
but not clothing or anything like that. She actually went to the farmers market,
Okay.
just to pick up some goods for the week. But the Queen is one of our mildest cigars outside the original Connecticut. This one has a sweet cap. I wanted it to be exactly what my wife wanted. Something mild, something sweet.
Gotcha.
So, she went with a Dominican filler on this one and said,
Okay.
hey, no, this is my cigar. This
There
is
you
my
go.
cigar. So,
I love the fact that she put her stamp on, and not to cut you off, but I had this thought in my head.
Well,
I love the fact that she put her stamp on it, number one, but I love the fact, because you don't hear a whole lot about this. We talk all the time about women in whiskey. You never hear about women in cigars. You never hear about it. And the fact that the Queen is putting her stamp on the cigar industry, that sends chills down my spine, literally, because you need more.
Right.
To me, you need more women in cigars.
Well, did you,
Right.
Ron, did your wife like cigars before you started doing this?
So actually, she did not. But funny story. About 10 and a half years ago, we were getting ready to get married, and it was always a thing to where, hey, smoking a cigar is like with the elite individuals, So she actually purchased my first cigar, me and my father-in-law.
Nice.
So she actually got us into smoking cigars. After about a month or so after being married, then she tried one. So I wouldn't say she's been smoking cigars for 10 and a half years like me, but we kind of started at the same time. And when we started our business with Heart of a Lion Cigar Co., she was right along with me. Did she try every blend? No. But did she, have an intricate part into, of course, creating the Queen and the say-so of naming conventions of our cigars? Yes, she did. Yes, she did. So.
No, and I just want to say God bless to the wives, because
Yes.
because my wife definitely didn't like whiskey until I started making it.
Right.
She likes it now. Now she's got a refined palate.
Ooh.
I like it.
But-
I like it. I like it. Sherwan, I can go ahead and tell you, man, if you get a chance, Rick's out of Weatherford, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so Rick's out of Weatherford. I could see this. I could see this anniversary one pairing really well with what I have on the table right now, and I pulled it out. It's the Ghostwood Rye.
Oh yeah.
It's a very good one.
Yes.
I paired
All right,
it.
so
it's
let's
oh,
real
man,
quick,
so
little
in
side
there.
note.
Side hustle. What?
So back in August,
Yeah.
Ghostwood sent out a newsletter
Oh, God,
about
yeah.
the rye.
Yes.
So can
I
you
got in a little bit of trouble
can
with that
you
one.
speak a little bit on what? Oh,
Oop, geez.
great! Look what you done.
No,
did.
that's actually perfect.
That actually is perfect. It works for Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's perfect.
This is Maverick, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh gosh, can you speak a little
Oh,
on
you put it out completely.
the rye and kind of
the-
what happened, and are you going to be? And obviously, it's coming back out in 25.
Yeah, so it was it was a big business decision. We were getting to a point where the boring answer on it is that we were doing such a good job of expanding our market in Texas and then into actually Louisiana, and we actually started doing it in Florida now. So we're actually
nice.
expanding all that stuff. So I really wanted to enforce kind of keeping our budget locked in on that continued market growth for the rest of the year.
Right.
We already released a Chardonnay cask at the beginning of the year. So
Which, by the way, went phenomenal
Yeah.
at the tasting I did at Lake Street Liquor in Lake Charles. Those people are excited about it. They
Yeah.
can't wait for Smoke and Barrel.
it's so good.
They're all over the place with it.
And it works so well. From my point of view, I was kind of like, well, we got one product out there. Let's not make it more confusing by releasing and rushing another product in
Right.
the marketplace. At the same time, while we were doing all these events, I'm making a huge mess.
No, you're good.
You're good.
I cleaned the table before you got here, so it's freshly cleaned mess. We'll say it like that.
I don't know. This is
And
why
we'll
I don't
swap
smoke a lot of
ashtray too.
cigars.
Yeah, we'll swap the ashtray with you. We'll get you a bigger ashtray.
Yeah,
Speaking
I
of
need,
Rick,
like, right
speaking
here.
of Rick, there's the man.
What up,
right
Rick?
there.
Rick is my dude.
Yeah, Rick's on.
I like
So,
Rick.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. So at the same time, while Rick was out there, just kicking all sorts of ass in the market for me down here in Texas, we stumbled onto a couple of distributors from Europe who were interested in bringing it in. The only problem is that in the European market, you can't have a bottle that's
Bigger
over
than
700 milliliter, right? So I'm like, okay, so we have an opportunity here where we can release a product that, in this case, it's an excuse for me to age it more.
Right, yeah,
is
of
gonna be
course,
awesome.
yeah.
So I don't feel rushed to go to market like I was before.
Right.
I'm converting that bottle to 700 milliliter, which there isn't much difference. Obviously, you're going to get a little bit less whiskey, but it's 50 milliliters. If anyone knows how to convert that in their brain, it's like a couple of,
Maybe an ounce.
maybe an ounce.
Yeah, maybe.
So it'll actually come into the market a little bit cheaper than I wanted it to. Not because I wanted it to, but because that's how much is in it.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm also switching my bottle manufacturer, so there's like a whole
process,
thing.
yeah.
But that bottle, it looks great. It's going to have we're starting brand new toppers, which will have metal coins on it. So we're upgrading the toppers. We're upgrading the paint job on the rye, especially. It's going to have more of like a white kind of marble granite feel to it as opposed to the black.
Right.
There you go.
The interesting thing is, I'm not trying to throw shade, but Angel's Envy just came out with 2 new products. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I've heard about
Triple Oak.
Yeah, Triple Oak, and I can't remember the other one
Yeah,
off the top
so
of my head.
their bourbon is in a black bottle,
Oh,
and their rye is going to be in a white bottle.
No, not
Interesting.
so. That's actually not Angel's Envy. That's Wes Henderson.
Oh, yeah.
The creator of Angel's Envy,
Right.
who then sold and
Oh, right,
started
he's doing
True Story.
True Story, that's
yeah.
it.
And he bought the Kentucky Castle, so he's building a distillery
In the
next
castle,
to it. But he
or
is
next to it,
sourcing
yeah.
for now, like Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
Lighter, you want
But
one,
yeah,
they're
you're
all-
talking about True Story, which
I was like, yeah.
Nice.
First of all, it's True Story.
There you go.
Secondly,
Good
it's
story-
a
good
black-
story, bro.
Black bourbon bottle and a white rye bottle. I'm like, man.
But I think you guys, though, y'all are all kind of on the same page with something,
We
because
are.
used to
Yeah.
when bourbon was kind of in its after the I guess the Renaissance, I guess, not necessarily the bourbon boom, but when the Renaissance, it was always a big misnomer that if you had a black bottle, you
Right,
were
you were
hiding
hiding.
bad juice.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are changing the game on that for sure. Going
Yeah.
with the black bottle, the good juice.
Well,
So
that's-
it works.
Yeah,
I like it.
The whole brand concept was the idea that we wanted to have people continue, because at the time, like you're saying, everyone would, and we're still doing it now,
Right.
which is you're exploring all these new brands coming to market,
Yes.
and by and large, most of them are really, really good. So I want to enforce that in the marketplace. I'm not shying away from it, right? And part of the fun then is saying, well, let's actually make it a challenge for people to actually pick it up. If you're used to X,
Yeah.
in terms of your purchasing process, I'm not going to give you X, but I want you to try it anyway.
Right.
And then but the catch on that is to make sure that Ghostwood rewards you for that exploration,
Okay.
and doesn't just like say, I fooled you.
Gotcha.
Here's my crap whiskey.
Well, talking marketing ideas, I have one for you.
Yeah.
A lime green bottle,
Oh, gosh.
your black logo,
wow.
and a Ghost Rider barrel pick.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Fantastic.
Ghost Riders, baby.
Yes.
No, that's part of the fun actually, because you're not the only one who's not. It's not lime green, but I've gotten a whole hunter group out of Oklahoma wants to do a hunter orange version.
Really?
With like a white Ghostwood tree on it.
I like
think
it.
Just
Cool.
badass. Or even like a straight up like camo painted bottle
That would be amazing.
with like an orange tree.
That would grab a lot of people's attention, especially
Right?
those that hunt.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And that goes right along with your story, because you want to be that whiskey out by the campfire.
Right.
And that goes right along with
And then you lose
hunting
it,
buddies.
lose it
and-
in the tall
right,
grass.
you can't see. Oh, no. Definitely not holding a bottle of whiskey. You can't see it.
Can't see it, yeah.
Where did
That's
it go
nice.
last night? I don't know. It's down here somewhere.
That's nice.
So, Shawan, you just recently launched in Oklahoma, correct?
I did
at
about
you.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, about
Nice.
2 weeks ago. That was actually one of my goals. After, put it this way: after we launched the brand, after some cigars came out, you start putting together a plan and goals that you want to accomplish. So it definitely wasn't there for the start with the inception, but once we start having these partnership with these lounges, Oklahoma came up, and I was like, if I can just get one, I'll be happy with that. And now I have 2 lounges in Oklahoma with partnerships.
Okay.
So
Nice.
it was a thing to where I didn't know how it works. I didn't know if it was gonna, the inner workings of it. Being from Texas, how can I distribute to Oklahoma? So, but it works now. And again, it was definitely a goal for me. So,
Nice.
phenomenal event about 2 weeks ago.
Very nice.
Sold out about 5 blends out of the 7 I had.
There you go.
And it was a huge deal. So yes, Oklahoma.
Absolutely. That's
Which is
awesome.
Which is where
Congratulations.
I'm from.
I know. I was gonna say you're an Oklahoma boy. I know. Yes.
So I gotta know, have you cracked the 2 ponies yet?
I did.
How is it?
I did. Oh my God. So
The 2 ponies.
for me, right, with smoking cigars, you start looking at more stout, bourbons that can compare with it, because I typically lean on the heavier side when I smoke cigars, the more medium, full bodies. So I need a bourbon or whiskey that can compare with it and not make the cigar beat the whiskey, or vice versa. So this one, very, very stout. Even though it's the proof on is a little, I think it's about 90, I believe. The proof is 90 on that one.
Did you forget to plug it in? Okay, we'll keep going. Yeah, we'll keep going. Bucky forgot to plug in the laptop.
90 proof is a great mix, though. I mean, because you got those strong flavors.
It's
you need something to compete, right?
That's a really good proof point to come in when you're training your palate more or less to do the cigar and the whiskey pairing. And not just that, when you're trying to train yourself in whiskey in general, I always recommend, hey, don't be afraid to start low. I know everybody's like, oh, I want the high proof. No, start low. Let's take baby steps. Let's start low. Let's get you into it to where you like it, and then graduate to the high stuff.
Well, I would say, not to take the conversation away from the cigars and all, but, if you want to start high and you have no whiskey experience, start with Ghostwood.
There you go. Shameless plug. Shameless plug, and I love it.
If you've got the balls to come into the whiskey market and just go straight high proof, just give my 114 a try.
There you go.
It's totally, it's super appealing.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because we have some viewers
yes, we do.
that have to go high proof. They like to call themselves quote unquote
high proof gang.
Proof whores.
Proof whores. Interesting.
Things of that nature.
I've never heard that term.
I'm a few years into this whole thing, and I enjoy a high proof pour just as much as the next guy or girl. However, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of times I find myself going back to those 90, 95.
95s.
Even the bottle and bond at 100, yes. Once you get to triple digits, I think you're getting into the quote-unquote hotter bourbons or whatever. But there's some really, 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 really good 90 proofers out there that I think even as a quote-unquote high-proof gang, proof hound, whatever you want to call it, you should be able to enjoy. And I don't think you have to chase the 135, the 140 hazmats and stuff like that. So here's the example I thought of whenever I was listening to this.
Okay.
Because it gets brought up a lot in whiskey circles.
Yeah.
About, I just want high proof. So here's the deal. We talk a lot about master blenders on this show. Here's what I equate it to. When you go to a very nice restaurant and a chef brings you out your meal.
Yes.
Do you go and throw ketchup on top of it or more salt?
No.
Or if it's a true chef that has mastered this dish and brings it out to you and says, here it is, you're going to enjoy it as that chef wants you to.
Yes.
So a master blender or these distilleries in general, they're releasing a product that they're not going to release a bad product.
Exactly.
So whenever they blend it and they bring it down to 90 proof or 108 or whatever the case may be, they feel like that's the best expression of that whiskey. And at the end of the day, is that not how you should enjoy it?
No.
Granted, we always say drink how you want to drink it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if it comes out at 107 and that's the best blend of that product, why are you chasing 135 proof when it's just maybe it's just a whole bunch of 130 proof barrels thrown together?
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, though, okay, so I love your approach because I mean, just like cigars or anything else that we do at my level or even anyone with the smaller craft distilleries,
Craft
at least.
distilleries, yeah.
Even the big guys, even like Wild Turkey 101.
Yeah.
Right. So those, if you've got it's an art. Right, you're making a personal statement in the marketplace, and you want to be able to back up why you're releasing that product if you're going to have even a sales pitch on it.
Right.
So it's like you don't just release it because barrel proof is really popular right now here. But my argument to that a little bit is that you do still have those guys that are releasing like the 130s, 125s, and so you're wondering, it's like, well, why at that level? And then you drink it, and it's just hot. It just sucks.
It's just hot.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but if you take your point of view on it, that's his version of what he wants to express to the marketplace,
right?
His or her. So basically, what then it comes into is a different opinion, right?
Yeah.
So as a consumer, you have a valid opinion to not like it,
Right, yeah.
by virtue of that fact.
Well,
So-
yeah, you don't have to pick up every bottle that's on the shelf. No, you
Right.
pick up what you like.
Exactly. So it's just it's that constant relationship with the customers that we have that I'm always, that's why I'm in the marketplace so often, is I like that constant feedback, because one, it tells me, okay, well, what I want to do as an artist is I want to release like a Chardonnay cask finish. All right.
I love that.
Does anyone else want to do a Chardonnay cask finish? Is anyone asking for it? Probably not. I haven't heard anyone asking for it. I just did it because I wanted to. But that's an expression of what I want to do and what I want to introduce to the marketplace. In the same way that some of the wraps that you're coming up with up there at Lion, it's like it's fun in that case. And for me, that's the creative enterprise that I've engaged in. And I consider myself more of like an art fan than a business manager at all. I mean, in fact, to the point where I want to just hire that out, and so I can just stay in the distillery and just be around.
There you go.
Just like, you take it, I don't care. So that's the thing, is like it's that, and again, going back to the exploration part of it, is like we want people to explore it. We want people to enjoy the experience of exploring it. And that's just part of the fun, and that's why podcasts like this exist. That's why this culture is kind of coming up. That's why you get, like, at any liquor store, at like some major, Buffalo Trace release, lines around the freaking block.
Yes.
Right.
And especially these days, which is interesting because you're not seeing lines around the block for the latest Pixar movie. So where's the culture at?
Yeah.
Think about it that way. It's kind of scary.
The culture's into whiskey, because whiskey, you have to have whiskey to deal with society, unfortunately.
Right. Well, back in our day when we were kids, it was like comic books.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
God, yes.
So we grew up in like the comic book era, where people were lining up. I mean, you had Todd McFarlane. Now I'm getting really nerdy.
God, yes.
Todd
No,
McFarlane
nerd out,
was
please, by
like, you
all
would do
means.
like $300 for a first edition Spawn in like
Yes.
1998.
Wow.
But we are now this age.
Exactly.
And honestly, at this point, I mean, I don't think it's a hot take, but comics have gone off the deep end with all their nonsense.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
they're all over the place. But
So-
it's funny you mentioned the whole superhero thing, because it's
Yeah.
like everybody has their own jam. So my 11-year-old, which we talk about all the time, my lovely autistic 11-year-old, decided this year he was going to step outside his comfort zone. He's always been, for Halloween, 9 times out of 10, he is either a video game or a Marvel superhero.
Right.
Yeah.
This year he completely turned it on his head. He said, I want to be Blue Beetle.
Sweet.
So he's dabbling into the DC world.
Holy moly.
Yes.
Going into DC.
Going
with it.
into DC.
Or as I call it, the darkness.
The dark, yes. The darkness, by all means.
I think, what was it? Was it, what's his name? The guy who plays Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, yeah.
He had a great interview where he was saying, like, what does DC have? A lot of interesting villains. And,
Yeah.
and Marvel just has really good heroes.
Yeah. It's really funny that because like the whole remake on the Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman,
Yeah.
it's darker, it's edgier, and
I liked it a lot.
I liked it a lot too. I was a
Yeah.
huge fan of it.
And it's the first on-screen. Now this is going. We're completely way off now. I love it too, because it's probably the first on-screen Batman I actually saw that didn't want to use guns for real.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's like I even made my wife appreciate Batman by explaining why he doesn't want to use guns, and it's like a big core of that character. Anyway,
I tell everybody all the time, I don't want to be Batman. I want Bruce Wayne's money. That's what I want.
I'll take the money.
I want Bruce
There you
Wayne's
go.
money.
So here's a fun little one that we talked about last week, and we had some really good comments on
Yes,
this question,
really good
and it kind of goes along with what you were saying with nobody asked for a Chardonnay finish, and right along with what Sherwan's saying with trying to figure out these blends and the wrapper and what do you use and blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
So a question that got proposed in our Putting Bourbon on Blast episode, which
Yes.
was more of a tongue-in-cheek title than anything.
Of course, yeah.
But so on the whiskey side of it, what's a collaboration that Ghostwood? What would be your like dream collaboration? So
Oh, like product-wise?
my example was I want to see two completely opposite states distill and then send new make to like Montana, send your new make to Texas. We age it here.
Right.
We do the same. We'll distill new make, send it to Montana, age it there, and then we figure out a blend.
Interesting.
Mine was a 2-state collaboration, and then we talked about some collaborations with like finishes. Like pecan wood is the state tree of Texas. I'd like to see a Texas whiskey do a pecan wood finish.
There you go.
Yeah.
So kind of taking those examples into mind. What would be and it doesn't have to be a dream collaboration, but what would be an idea for a collaboration for Ghostwood?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
And Sherwan, same thing on the cigar side.
Yeah.
Once he kind of gets it, so you have some time to think.
Yeah.
I got 3 already.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I actually am already kind of doing it because from the whiskey perspective, a lot of my decision making is actually in the grains that I'm using to distill.
Okay.
Right? So, like the rye is actually a collaboration, if you will, from the Illinois grains that I grew up with and the Montana grains that I've kind of adopted into the process.
Right.
So I'm taking the best of both of those. And that's the rye and the bourbon that I created.
There you go.
So those two things, and I grew up on a farm, so it's like I'm very hands-on when it comes to my source on where I'm getting this stuff. None of it's feed level grain and stuff like that you would see. So
I like it.
So there's that, and then obviously the Chardonnay cask finish. I partnered with California out of Napa Valley.
Yes.
One of the only estate vineyards in Napa Valley, meaning they grow their own grapes and make their own wine.
Yes, they do everything in-house.
They do everything in-house.
Can I see the rye?
Yeah.
And they have and they've won awards specifically for their Chardonnay. So I'm like, bonus. I didn't even try any other wine with it, honestly, because my whole goal with that is it's kind of my love letter, or I'm trying to emulate more of like a Macallan sherry finish
There you go.
with that, right? So it's all kind of part of that mission. So in those two things. Now, to take it post distillation, I would love to do something in Texas. I mean, I think I would actually want, because I'm somewhat good with Dan Garrison. I'd like to take some of his stuff up to Montana and age it in Montana
That would be
for like 10 years,
yeah.
because really the differences between the Texas and Montana distilling is not that different. The big difference is where we age it.
Right.
And how hot it gets down here and how cold it gets up there.
Yeah, we talked about that pre-show.
Yeah.
It's 92 degrees in mid-October in Texas.
So, and I think it really does affect it. That's why I think Ghostwood in particular has more of a scotchy finish, because the heat isn't like constantly being beat into it over the course of like 2 years or whatever,
That would be a fun one.
Yeah. Because I think he creates fantastic stuff. Yeah. And like TX, I know they use, one of their big claim to fame down here is that they have pecan tree yeast as part of their process.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That was like their first big marketing push. If you're familiar with TX whiskey, their master distiller wasn't actually a distiller. He was a chemist out of SMU.
Oh, okay.
Pulled that out, put it in there, and that's how they got the TX.
Very nice.
Pretty cool.
Very nice.
That's how they started. So on top of the really cool boot leather.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Sean.
My dude.
And for me, with coming up with a cigar brand, and I wasn't the first, right? So you always want to think about collaboration with some of the, your favorites in the humidor, right? So for me, I started with a Drew Estate and all that good stuff, man. But about a year or so in my 10.5-year journey of smoking cigars, my father-in-law and I love Diamond Crown. Down in Connecticut, that's just what we went to. And Diamond Crown. So collaboration for me would be like, JC Newman, trying to do a blend with him and that company, but also like Luciano. Luciano, man, I actually had a opportunity to meet him in person. Being a fanboy before, but meet him in person and get to hear his insight, his history, as far as, making and blending cigars. So Luciano will be another one. But also on the Dominican side, Blackbird. Blackbird, man, they're doing some phenomenal work over there, man.
Yes, they are.
That collaboration with one of those three, all three, in the future, man, I would love that. And again, it's just working with some master blenders that can, think outside of the box. For me, you think about the Dominican side. I got dipped a little bit on the King with some Honduran and Nicaraguan tobacco on that one, but some Costa Rica tobacco will be something that I will want.
That would be really
in the
good.
future.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
kind
there's
of
something a little
intrigued
bit
on that.
different. Yeah, so even some Peruvian tobacco as well. How can I get my hands on some something like that? So you'll have to connect with definitely a bigger scale blender in order to get those relationships. But yeah, those are the three that I would probably wish for and hope for in the future.
I like it. I like it. That's
Dreaming
good
big.
stuff.
I like it.
That's a good.
So,
Yes.
so he talked a little bit about finishing in the Chardonnay. One of the things we did for Bourbon Heritage Month was we did a few different bourbon style cigars, whether that was the Maker's Mark thing. I know Diesel has a line, their Whiskey Row series, and there's quite a few other ones like the 1835 collaborations. Can you see yourself at some point, because you are really good with the whiskey and cigar pairing side of it? You recommended the New Riff single barrel as a pairing with this, and it was fantastic. And I'm definitely going to be trying one of the JT Mellicks here shortly to pair with it as well, which was another one of your recommendations. Is there any thought process on doing like a bourbon barrel finished tobacco or leaf, or I don't know how they do it, but
that will be the only type of I want to say collaboration, but that'll be the only thing that I would try to do. I kind of want to stay away from infusing my cigars, but again, like you said, we're in this market. I drink heavy bourbons, I drink all this good stuff, so why not give it a shot? But I just didn't want to take any shot, because I could have had a cigar that was infused in whiskey when I launched the company, but I decided to go. I decided to go outside of that because I wanted to definitely build a relationship with someone, and really have my hand in on it, and not just dip that Dominican tobacco and some cognac or some whiskey, and yes, let's do it. But I definitely wanted to. And again, I'm not even going to sit here and say that was a thing that I wanted to do. Honestly, when I met you guys and watching your podcast, getting to meet, Roy and, last August, getting to meet, Bucky in person as well in last October, that was a thing to where I'm like, wait, I probably could really do this, so, you guys providing inspiration for me to think outside the box. And I would love to do it now. 2 years ago, probably not, but now, yeah, there'll probably be a thing that definitely could happen.
You talk about outside the box. I got an interesting one for you, and I thought about it. And this is strictly going to benefit you.
Oh yeah,
you are a huge fan of the Kentucky Fire Cured.
I am.
You love it.
I do.
It's fantastic.
It is.
Could we see a Fire Cured Heart of a Lion in the future?
Ooh,
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, that what?
That's interesting. It's interesting.
It is.
Not that you haven't already, but you may actually gain my business if you do that.
Bucky, you already locked in anyway. So.
You're locked in.
Good point. I have hoodies and cigars and
I got to put together a hoodie order. I was looking on there the other day. I got to put together a nice Heart of the Lion order. I'll probably do that tomorrow, actually, while I'm chilling around the house.
But
I'm going to do it because the logos and your artwork's fantastic.
Oh yeah, his artwork
is
is spot on.
Yeah.
It's a good looking logo.
Thank you. And ironically, still giving my wife her praise. She actually created the logo for me.
Yeah, that's a good looking logo.
Nice. We wanted something that represented myself. Again, when I talk about where Heart of a Lion came from, it was. I didn't want Shawan Mim cigars on there. I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to, regardless of the conversation, regardless of your walks of life, regardless of gender, whatever, Heart of a Lion, who is it? Yes, you got to do the research. But 37-year-old man out of that, from Oklahoma, lives in Dallas, Texas.
There you go.
But I wanted to be something that will pop, but something that represented myself. I'm a Leo. Of course, it's going to be, lion related. And then all my cigars have lion related names or characteristics. So, wife created the logo. She actually birthed the name of Heart of a Lion Cigar Co. as well. And it was a thing to where I wanted to be, a representation of myself. So all of them, all the cigars have a story to them. All the cigars have a different color band, and they all have a special meaning to what went into it and what how is the creation process and the marketing aspect. It's all line related. So,
well, something like that, because the name of the company. I mean, even if you God forbid, you get old, you die, you pass on this thing, you're still, the people who are taking it over have to answer to Heart of a Lion,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So in that way, when you build a brand like this, it checks itself through into the future, and that character kind of should carry through. I mean, if Heart of a Lion starts, not wanting to explore and be brave about what they're doing, that's like cardinal sin number one, I would imagine, for that.
Would we
Right.
change? Did I lose? I'm okay. There I am.
Yeah.
Would we change the
There you
name
go.
to Heart of a Tin Man?
Heart of
At
a
that
Tin
point?
Man?
No. No.
But
and it flows,
Yeah.
man. And
it does.
again, my son, he just turned 18. Of course, he's not able to smoke yet, right? But he's going off to college. We actually got to go to San Antonio tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
But
Because he's
actually-
going UTSA, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
He's already there, but he's this first semester he's staying here in Dallas.
Okay,
He doesn't go off until January.
got you.
But ironically, for him, he'll be kind of like the next in line after us, right?
Right.
But funny story is he's actually a Leo himself.
Okay,
there
I
you
like
go.
it.
So hey, son, you want to get into the cigar business after
Just-
college, of
Here you
course.
go, yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, you just have to
so-
be married. You just have to be born in July to take over.
Right. That's it.
Right. July, August. There you
But I
go.
do like
there
you
that.
go.
I like that aspect that both of y'all, having y'all on together, both of y'all leaned really hard into the names of your company, Heart of a Lion and the Lion Pride,
Yes.
and it's your main choice. And he's a Leo, so
Yes.
he already does that. And then Ghostwood with the campfire thing and the black bottle, you unapologetically lean into it,
Yeah.
and you love what it is, and you can hear it in both of y'all whenever y'all talk about.
Oh,
these
the
things.
passion's there. You can hear it.
No, yeah.
Like it
Oh, yeah.
resonates. Talking to both of them,
Yeah.
it resonates soundly. That to me, Heart of the Lion is that what. I'm a dude from Oklahoma. I'm going to start a cigar business. I'm going to fight like hell. I'm going to have that lion heart and fight like hell to get this off the ground and get it rolling. Same thing with the Ghostwood. You're going beyond that campfire light that you sit around as a kid to make where you're at.
Right.
And that's chills.
So I've got another question for both of y'all.
Chills.
Chills.
Dog it.
Chills.
I don't know if you can say anything yet, but I'm going to ask the question.
Oh, there you go. That's an interesting. Thomas Anderson. I'm sorry, it just caught my eye. Southern Star High Rye Bourbon from North Carolina.
I've heard good things about Southern
Interesting.
Star,
Very
but
nice.
I don't think I've seen it in Texas.
I haven't
yet.
seen it in Texas neither. I have not.
Is Ghostwood going to be back at Southeast Texas Whiskey Fest in January 2025?
Yes, we will.
Yay!
No, for sure. No, we had a blast last time, so of course
Love
we're
it,
coming back.
love it, love
Awesome.
it. Okay, counter question
Sherwan,
is
Oh,
is Heart of the Lion?
you don't even have to ask.
There you go. There you go.
I am coming.
Okay.
I am coming. After this podcast, I'm actually gonna drop a video, kind of doing a recap of earlier this year. So
Okay.
it's the video's already done. All I had to do was add the logo to it. So I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna
Sweet.
tag you too. As well.
Okay.
I'm gonna tag.
That'd be awesome.
So here's my big MVP question: is Pops coming back?
Pops is coming.
Yes,
Pops is
I love
coming.
that man. I'd run through a
Pops
brick
is coming.
wall for Pops. You understand that? I'd run through a brick wall for that man. You're talking about a cool dude to hang out. We all hung out at the after party last year. Which, by the way, if you're in town, you need to go to the after party. The after party's legit.
this last one, Rick was there.
Yeah, Rick was there,
I was occupado somewhere else.
Occupado.
But no, I'm coming back for this one. I'm definitely
Yes.
going to be there. and
Heck
hang
yeah,
out.
man. That'll be fun.
Good,
Sure,
yes.
man.
The after party was
Sure.
legit. Pops is a cool dude to hang out with. I love his insight.
Yes.
I love how he speaks of you, his son-in-law, which is phenomenal to me because you hear a lot of stuff about how sometimes the in-laws just kind of get along. With Sherwan and Pops is totally different.
Yeah.
They are like two kindred spirits that are bonded, and it's a great
awesome.
thing to watch. It's so great.
It's
to
so
watch.
crazy. It's so crazy that we talk about this. I'm surprised he's not here, but we are Cowboys fans. Okay,
We won't hold that
Um,
against you.
We might.
but the game is not on yet, so that's probably why he's not here. But for him, ironically, I lost my father in 21, my biological father in 21. And I when I developed this brand, I wanted to smoke a cigar with him, right? But he wasn't here, of course. And then, my father-in-law, we started smoking cigars together. So why not have him a part of Heart of Alliance Cigar Co. He's an integral part. I mean, he's coined as my chief of sales. He is. There you go. I mean, I don't necessarily have roles and designations and reps, but he is, because when we had about 3 or 4 cigar blends at the time before launch, and all the samples were going to his FedEx workers, and they were trying them way before I had a label on cigars, and this had some Robusto size, some 60 ring gauges. I just had a lot of different things that before we launched, and he really helped me in developing my company. So again, he's always, if I'm not there, he will be there. If we're both there, it's gonna be a good time. So January, man, he said, look, now we're going. I'm going too. I said, well, let's go. Let's gas it up and let's go down to Beaumont, man. So we enjoyed the company. We enjoyed, of course, Roy taking us to the tour of I'm not gonna say tour, because we were about 5 shots in, and I was like, whoa. Whoa.
I hung out with him on Hell's Half Acre, and I'm telling you right now, that was right. to be a fly on the wall in that environment with me, him, and JB running around.
I'm sure that was a ton of fun.
So much fun. So much fun.
Man, but we're definitely coming back, man. That was a thing to when we left. We talked about it the whole 5 hours back home, and it was like, no, we're coming next year.
There you go.
I don't care who else is coming with us, but we're coming next year. So,
there you go.
Yeah,
it's going to be a ton of fun.
We're looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm excited about this year, and I'm excited about the years to come.
Oh yeah,
because there's some big things coming to Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival.
Of course,
and everybody needs to keep coming back, because it's going to get big.
Well, it's gotten bigger every year. We're rolling into year 3 right now, and I'm wondering, in the back of the fanboy in the back of my mind is wondering, how do you top year 2? I mean, year 2 was just a phenomenal year.
Yeah,
you had Donis Todd in the house. Donis was doing his thing. You had it escapes me. Rich from Cure Rare Disease, and how he's passionate about that foundation that works with Southeast Texas, and that's where the proceeds go to from Southeast Texas Whiskey Fest to Cure Rare Disease. And Rich is an awesome dude.
Yeah, he was really cool to talk to. Very
passionate guy, very knowledgeable, knows his stuff.
Yeah.
He's good. Pops and his insight. I hung around for a little bit. I kind of got separated from the rest of y'all, and I hung out with Pops and Sherwan for probably
too long.
We were walking around, and he's like, Pop's like, young man, you got to try this. And I'm like, Pop, go that way. And he's like, okay, I see where you're at.
But I mean, that's one of the really cool parts about what we're doing is you just don't know who's going to, you don't know who's going to be there. But
true.
Past the vendors that are out there, you got people like Sherwan just showing up. You got, you're wanting to be there this year. You know, there are people walking around in the crowd that you're like, oh, hey, what's going on, buddy?
Exactly.
And you just, it's the whiskey community and the way everybody comes together, and the people that just want to be a part of it is really freaking cool.
I feel it's one of the world's largest whiskey family reunions that you'll ever step foot in.
Absolutely.
Oh, no,
by far.
And that's what conventions are all about.
Yes, they are.
That's what's great about it is it's like there's something similar we have. It's called Taste of the Big Sky up in Montana.
Okay,
interesting.
And it's like kind of lightly attended. It's mostly a lot of tourists. Whoever's in Montana in the summer, not many people. But it's really it's kind of like a weird, shady way to get all these distillers from Montana together, and it's basically just a group therapy session.
Yeah, and that's
we just get together,
and
complain about all of our problems, or show off what we're working on next. And it's more, and weirdly enough, it's more about that for me than it is like I got to make sure I taste this thing over here in this guy, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like I love getting together with other professionals, other craftsmen, other people in the business, other perspectives, and that's what those events do every time. I love it. And then you get the added benefit of introducing it to some new people who maybe haven't tried it before.
There you go. Right? There you go.
But primarily, it's just like that collaboration. Even across industry with cigars or any of that other stuff. It's always fun. And we're not alone.
No, you're
Yeah,
100% not
Yeah,
alone.
no doubt. No
I
doubt.
think that's the biggest thing since we've been doing this is that we learned really quick that a distillery and now I mean a cigar brand,
Right.
y'all aren't doing this by yourself. It's really cool whenever I see JB run over and talk to distiller A from distillery X,
Right.
and they're like, yeah, this. Well, you see all of these people like from the same industry talking and wanting to do things together, and same thing with Sherwan, and it's like all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, this is awesome! Like this is one big family.
Yeah.
You thought they were competitors, and they're not, and they're all talking to each other, and they're wanting to do things together, and it's like, well, crap, I like this.
Yeah.
This is fun. This is just fun.
It's camaraderie
No, it is.
at its finest. Is what it
No,
is.
because I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard it. There's a whole other podcast about how like people go into severe depression when they go into this. They have a whole podcast dedicated to stories about people going into severe depression when they go into this business.
Hey, what's going on, Jake?
So yeah, I mean, I think it's important, especially if you're a producer or you're getting into this business and stuff like that. Is obviously it's the deck's always going to be stacked against you. You're a new cat on the street. Everyone's going to come after you. But you know, just know that you're not the only one trying to do it, and that everyone has the same experience, and you're not alone. And just try to enjoy the ride as best you can. And if you fail, you fail, and then you know you can move on and try something different. But you know, just it's never the end of the world. You know.
So, speaking of like festivals and Whiskey Fest and stuff like that, Sherwan, is there things on the cigar side that are very similar, like a cigar fest because I know we have Tobaccodoches up in Nacogdoches.
Sweet.
Are there things like that you're attending, that you're a part of, that you're a vendor at? And can you kind of talk about those? And if somebody's in the whatever area, how can they find out and attend?
Yeah, so actually, you know, ironically, I am on the, board of Dallas Smoke Fest. So similar to, not quite similar to the Whiskey Fest that we attended, but, similar to, trying new brands, trying, old brands that come, collaborate with us in Dallas. But that's actually coming up November 6th through the 10th. And, I got brought into it. Of course, I have my cigar brand, and we got some spots we're going to set up. But they brought me in as the newcomer, and I was able to provide a little bit of, since I've been to a few cigar festivals, before. So for me, I came in, kind of green to it. Yes, I want to, start this journey with you guys. And again, we started last September. Was our first meeting, and we trying to put together a festival of days, November 6th to the 10th. Okay. And so I'm chief of technology. I built a website for them.
Nice.
Kind of weird, like, man, this cigar maker is building websites, but yes, I did do that just to kind of get us off our year one. So we're participating in that. And again, there's stuff all around the country. There's stuff in Houston. There's stuff in New Orleans. There's things in Chicago. There's Phoenix, Tampa, of course, Miami, of course. So it's a lot of different. We call them cigar fests that happen. That similar to a ton of vendors as far as whiskey vendors. We have a ton of cigar vendors, and you just pick your choice. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And here in about 3 weeks, actually.
There you go.
So yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, that ought to be a ton of fun.
That ought to be a ton of fun. Yeah.
So, I guess since I've never actually attended one, so we walk around and we can taste several different kind of whiskeys. How does that work at a cigar fest? Are you just lighting up? Or
I'm sure if you buy the cigar, you can light up right on the spot. I know Tobaccodoches is an outdoor thing.
Are you just talking about, like, I'm curious, how does that side of it work?
Right. So it's not necessarily a sampling. Like, you can go to every table like, hey, let me get a sample.
Bring a whole bunch of little roaches.
right. It's not that.
Just have one lid on the table.
Right. But what the difference, of course, you have to purchase cigars when you go to the different events, different tables. But when you become a VIP, right, you get about 20 to 25 cigars in your VIP bag anyway.
Okay.
And some of those vendors, like myself, I'm gonna have my cigar in the bag, right? This year I was going back and forth. Like, it's our first year. I don't want to, overstep because I am on the board. What can I put in there? Like, I want to put all of them in there, but hey, that's 75 different bags. 75.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, what can I do? And I decided to, I guess I'm announcing on the podcast today.
Wait a minute. Are we breaking news?
Breaking news.
Oh, wow.
Breaking news. So I'm actually going to put the Leo in our VIP bags.
Okay.
There you go.
And again, this is my personal favorite.
That is a good
one. I love all my cigars.
Yes.
This particular cigar was featured in the magazine last month.
Yes, it was.
And
congratulations on that, by the way.
That was
Thank
huge.
you.
Yes.
I don't think I ever said congratulations. We talk a lot, and I don't think I ever said actually congratulations.
Thank you. This one it's my baby, right? It's called Leo for a reason. Initially started as the Dark Habano. Then I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that, we did make a change into the blend. We did make a change into the structure of it because it initially was around Toro, but we decided to box press it. And, as of 2024, aside from all the flavored, sweet cap cigars that we have, this is the number one of 24 as of like last week.
Oh, wow.
Overall, the King is there. That's my number one seller amongst true cigar aficionados. But as of 24, amazing. this bad boy right here, and I pair with everything.
Really?
I mean, you talk about Chardonnays. I mean, Cabernets, Pinot Noirs, heavy bourbons, whiskeys, tequilas, rums. I've done everything with this particular cigar, and I love it. I mean, it's Leo. Would I wanted to say Shawan? No, but
maybe.
But yeah, this is my baby right here. So I'm going to put this in the VIP.
Sweet.
Yeah, and awesome. Jake's comment. Jake just said the King is the goated cigar, my favorite by far, in my opinion.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yes.
The King is absolutely fantastic with the Leo.
Yes.
So I am curious on because you've talked a couple times about sweet cap on your cigars. Is there a specific flavor profile, or can you talk a little bit about the whole sweet cap thing? Like, what is it? Why are you doing it? And is there a flavor profile that you're going for with that?
So, why am I doing it? There's a market for it. Why am I doing it? There's a market for it.
Nothing wrong with that.
And again, when you talk about, everybody has a different flavor profile that they want, right? Mm-hmm. Similar to bourbons, right? You want this one, you want this blend, you want this proof, like we talked about a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. When it came to, talking about the flavors, right? Because they all have the sweetening process for the cap. It's all the same. But you have to understand that there's different nuances in these three blends. They're all Dominican, right? They all have the same sweet cap. Right. But what you'll get in the Queen, you might not necessarily will get in the Lionheart, right? Those are the differences that can, go to any, flavor profile for a cigar. So, mild, creamy, cedar, this is probably the one, right? Yep. More earth tones, a little bit of spice, a little bit of cinnamon on the back end. It's probably the one. Maduro, creamy, it's yes. But also with a Maduro, you're gonna get that pepper, of course.
Look.
So
anytime you interrupt what you're saying and you go, it's good.
But again, for me, looking for those heavier profiles, it's great as a medium. This will probably be more of my profile as I go into medium to full. But again, every customer is different. Every palate is different. Someone may love this one, but they like, oh no, Queen is my favorite sweet cap. So again, they're, like I said before, they're non-infused. It's only the cap, and the sweetness goes through, first, second, and third of the cigar. But it's not overly powered. It's not just heavy sugar just sitting on the tip of the cigar. But it's a process, of course, and it's just the glue sedative that we use to make sure that it stays sweet, the cigar stays wrapped. But that's what it is. It's non-toxic, of course. Non-toxic. Gotta say that, right? When you say glue, wait, what do you mean by glue?
Disclaimers.
But yes, but But it's all the same with each of these cigars. And again, when you're looking for Maduro, you go Lioness. When you're looking for a little bit more, a sip more bite to it, but also the earth tones to it, and a little bit more cinnamon on the back end, you go with Lionheart. If you want a creamy, mellow cedar, you go with the Queen.
There you go.
I'll say this before, and this predates Heart of a Lion Co. being a quote-unquote sponsor of the show. Mm-hmm. If you go back and look at my Instagram, there's a whole bunch of posts of Heart of a Lion cigar on my my page. Mm-hmm. And I've always been more of a whiskey guy. I'm slowly learning the cigar side of it. But every Heart of a Lion cigar that I've smoked has paired perfectly with every whiskey or bourbon, whatever that I've chosen. Yep. And it's just like, okay, I'm going to find a bad one. Because on the show even, or sitting at Ryan's house, I've smoked a cigar, drank a bourbon or a whiskey, and I've been like, it brings out too much bitter. Yeah. It's not good. But I don't know what it is about it. If it's the mellow flavor across the board, if it's the sweet cap, if it's whatever is in the King that he sprinkled on it that makes it magical, whatever it is, every single one of them, I've never gotten that like weird, bitter note that I don't like with a pairing. And I think that's freaking amazing, because you can go from anything from a lighter whiskey all the way up to a darker, heavier whiskey to a finished whiskey. And you're like, well, God dang it. So instead of a cigar blend, it's almost like Heart of a Lion Cigar Co. has created a whiskey blend.
You know what it
and
is,
it's
don't
perfect
you?
every time.
I'll sum it up in 2 words. Leaf magic.
Leaf magic.
That's what it is.
There's barrel magic and there's leaf magic.
Yeah. Leaf magic is a real thing.
And you know what? I defined it, of course. I defined it when I love how you broke it down, right? Because I get that in so many different ways from so many different individuals, so many new customers trying our product. And I've already coined it. It's lion therapy. So that's your experience. That's what you go through. That's on every cigar that we have. Absolutely. That's what I defined it as. Again, did I have 100 different pairings to make sure every cigar will pair with this? No, I'll probably be dead if I tried to do that. But I get a lot of feedback from individuals that say, hey, look, I paired it with this. I paired it with that. Oh, I'm going to try that. Again, when we did, I believe, about a month or so ago, you did the Ghostwood Rye, and one did the Lioness, the other did the Queen.
Yes.
And it was a hit, right? Right. And again, I love feedback like that. Now the Rye's not available where I'm at.
Well, it's currently not even available. Yeah. It's not even available on their website.
Yeah, currently it's not even available anywhere.
Yeah. So I guess I gotta wait till 25, right?
There you go.
Wait till 25. But again, man, I tried, what did I do that night? I didn't have the rye, so I did
what did you do?
The blended bourbon. I did
you did the 90 proof, yeah.
Yes, and it's still phenomenal.
But a different experience, which is kind of cool.
A different experience, right. So again, for me, like if I had a magic wand and go to the ocean and get a letter in a bottle saying, hey, pick these specific blends, pair with this specific whiskey. I'll be a millionaire by now. Oh yeah. But again, I love the feedback. I love how the different experiences that people have with the different blends, and I just chalk it up to say it's lion therapy. That's my whole mantra. That's it. That's what I experienced when I had the very first cigar, the very first blend. I said no. This is what I'm gonna go with. This is my map. Okay, this is my map. Do I want to release this cigar at this time, this cigar at that time? So it all has its own place in my heart. And again, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
No,
I hate that Lucas don't get to smoke it today, but hey,
I know.
I get you some.
Yeah,
we'll make sure. We'll make sure it happens. I promise.
Yeah, for sure.
So Lucas, kind of along those same lines. Cigar blend is a very, very catchy term in our industry. I say ours because we do a whiskey podcast.
Yeah.
Your industry, whatever you want to call it. Could there be plans for a cigar blend Ghostwood, or is that because y'all don't do a whole lot of finishing? I mean, you've got your Chardonnay now.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you've got good juice, period. There's no real reason to do a whole lot of finishing.
Right.
But the cigar batch thing is a really good marketing term as well. Has there been any thought? Has there been
Well, to me, yeah, I mean the finishing aspect of whiskey in general, you know, it's kind of it's a delicate process all the way around, and you've got to really have a good sense of palate and to understand what's going to work best with what whiskey you have. Yeah. The Chardonnay cask finish was an intended, obviously, expression that I wanted to pop out because I think it's unusual, it's interesting, and I think it's great on its own. But in terms of, like, what do you mean by cigar finishing, I guess?
Well, I mean, everybody has their own version of it. Nancy Fraley with Joseph Magnus, that's kind of the OG cigar blend. But it seems like everybody has this idea of a finished bourbon that should pair well with a cigar. Good Times, we have one on the shelf.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Where they did like 3 different finishes. Still Austin has one that should be coming out soon. That's like red, white, and blue corn blended bourbon. So I don't think it's finished anything, but it's like a red, white, and blue corn bourbon. Not RD1. I'm sorry.
Like an actual whiskey that is made to go with
a cigar blend, whether it's finished in something.
Got it.
I know Amberana was kind of a popular Amberana and was kind of the way a lot of people did it with cigar blends. But you know they do like these 2 or 3 different finishes that make it supposed to pair well with a cigar. And now that I'm talking about it real quick, sorry, think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is, because all of these companies do like a sweeter finish, like a port, an Amberana, whatever.
Yeah.
But whenever you smoke a Heart of a Lion cigar, that's weird to say, and it has a sweet, like even one of the sweet caps, maybe that's what it is that follows you through with just a regular heavy or high proof or low proof bourbon, period. Right. Maybe it's something in that idea of two opposites. Like a sweet cap with a heavy bourbon, bringing out different flavors. I don't know. I'm thinking through it as I talk.
No, I don't think you're wrong, because I mean that's
right.
What's interesting is what you're talking about is complementary, as opposed to like in line, if you will. Because if your cigar tastes just like your whiskey, there's not going to be much exploration there. But what's interesting about going back to the Chardonnay cask finish, it's dry and it's fruity mixed with the smoothness and the toffee of my bourbon, kind of working together to create a whole new expression. When you're talking about what you're talking about, like everything that Siobhan is talking about, like the Queen, for instance, in my mind, I was like, well, that would pair really well with the 114 proof Ghostwood, because
the high proof,
those two expressions I think will complement each other in that experience if you're enjoying them together, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So identifying those, and that would be really interesting, Siobhan. If you want to, we should get together at some point and just kind of go through and see which works best for what.
You still there, buddy?
Is he gone? No, he's there.
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we got you.
All right, we got you back.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
I had a couple of blackouts there for a second. All the conversation.
Okay.
That's okay.
Wait.
But what else? We can collab in that way, Siobhan, in a sense where we can plug the best, Heart of the Lion cigar that goes with this particular whiskey and put it on our product page, and just kind of really showed it out.
Oh yeah, awesome. And again, with the functional gentlemen down there as well, I believe they can help out as well. So
yeah.
I would love that to collab in that aspect, to try to see what we have 8 cigars. Of course, man, we can half it up. We can start with the sweet, so we can throw the king in there to try just go across the board.
There you go.
Of course, it'll take some time. Of course, I don't want to smoke all the cigars in one day, but
that'd be rough. That'd be a rough day.
But again. Yeah, we can definitely collab and start with, maybe we do start with, one of the sweet caps and say, okay, let's go through this one, and we can have our own perspectives. Bucky provides something, Roy, you provide some, I provide some myself, myself as well. So I'm looking forward to that now. Look, I'm all excited.
Well, that's what I mean. It's it's interesting when you think about it. I mean, maybe this is just my lack of imagination, but when you're talking about creating a whiskey specifically for tobacco, or for cigars in general, I'm kind of what would that be? I'd have to think about it. I've never really thought about it, because, I mean, the two naturally pair anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of,
Let me ask,
It would just be another product.
I don't know. Maybe this is lack of knowledge of northern states. I don't know how to put it. Are cigars a big thing in Montana?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like I said, maybe it's just lack of knowledge, but I don't know how the cigar demographic works.
I can picture it working very well because you have a lot of big hunting lodges in Montana. So I could see a lot of gentlemen walking up to a lodge bar, have a cigar with it, sitting by a fireplace.
No, absolutely.
Going that route. I can see that.
Cigar lounges are a big deal. So are the whiskey
Yeah.
things. I mean, obviously the rules are different every state. But,
Right.
Yeah.
But what's Montana's very much like the, I just walked in from a blizzard with like a bear pelt on. Give me a cigar and a whiskey.
And your coonskin hat.
Yes,
Right.
there you go. Beaver.
And a tomahawk steak.
Yes, I love it. A tomahawk steak. That's what I'm talking about.
That's kind of like the image people have with
Right,
Montana.
exactly.
So,
Right. I know I do.
Exactly.
what-
See, I'm not
Exactly what I
wrong.
thought about.
No, you're not wrong at all.
So I am kind of curious. What have you been up? Like speaking of Montana,
Man,
and-
what
and
has Lucas
you-
been up to?
It's been a few months. What the hell have you been up to?
well, in my stage of the business right now, I'm doing everything I can to stay in what I call my cave, which is the lab where I'm creating new whiskeys, and kind of relying on Pirate Rick and everyone to kind of handle the on the ground stuff a little bit for me, so I'm not constantly going back and forth and getting distracted.
Oddly enough, he calls him Pirate Rick. I refer to him as Captain Ron.
Yeah.
Captain Ron, yes,
I so see that image every time I see Rick. It's Captain
know.
Ron from the movie. I love it.
the one-eyed wonder. No, but I'm naturally a little bit introverted, so it's nice for me to kind of zone out and just kind of focus on the creativity and the things I want to bring to market later, and everything that I create this year is going to be available probably in 4 or 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's a long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
obviously,
long
project.
process, yeah.
But right now, this year, my focus was obviously the rye, but that was like I worked on that 5 years ago, so that's coming into market.
Right.
What I'm working on now is actually a single malt.
Okay.
Specifically, and really working
I know
on...
that breaks your heart, but it fills mine. I feel like the Grinch. My heart's growing when he mentions single malt. I love it.
American single malt, I mean, it's weird. We're kind of relegated into like this weird category that's not really different, but it's brandingly different because we have to call it American single malt.
But have you
instead of
looked?
Scotch.
So have you been following this whole American single malt thing?
Yes. Yeah.
In your opinion, as a distillery,
Yeah.
is there a reason why it's still not an actual category for the TTB?
I mean, I don't really know, actually. I don't know. I mean, I think it's weird that we have to call it American single malt. I think that's some kind of weird leftover rule from like the back in the day when the scotches were being imported in like the post-prohibition era. They didn't want to like compete
Right.
on that level. And at the same time, America was like, I don't give a shit. We have bourbon, we have rye.
Right.
So
We don't
like,
need it.
who
We
cares?
got
don't
bourbon.
need it.
Typical American answer. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Do whatever you want, Scotland. But what's interesting is the only reason I'm exploring it, honestly, is because Montana is I think Montana itself is responsible for like 80% of the barley growth in this country. So most of the barley, from beer to whiskey to anything else, gets grown in Montana.
Okay.
And we're far up north, so it's like, every time I see like, some kind of documentary about a Heaven's Hill or something like that in Kentucky, they're like, hey, we're like Scotland. And I'm like, you are really hot for being Scotland.
Yeah.
It's really hot where you're at. And I'm not saying that Montana is more like Scotland for sure, but we do have that colder weather to kind of help that aging process a little bit more like Scotland in that way. So I don't know. I mean, I think I've always been a big fan of Scotch. I kind of grew up in Scotch, and then
You
kinda
went to
segued.
Scotland, didn't you?
Yeah.
And studied a lot of that.
I did, yeah, and I just love it there. So I just wanted to do my version of it, and it's really coming up with my version of it. Like if you're going to have, Stranahan's in Colorado, that's like their version of a Scotch, and then you come up to Montana, what's our version? Like can it be a difference between like a Highland or a Lowland kind of thing? Like what if we do something interesting in that and really build some characteristics with the American single malt market that could be expressions and fun to start exploring? Because I think until that really happens, until we can kind of get more and more of these brands kind of pop it off, and then respecting the age, and everything else, then it's really not going to be much of a blip on the whiskey market, really. I mean, other than it's kind of like a category unto itself, and it's just kind of nice to have because we have something, that's competing with some,
Irish
Suntory,
and Scotch and
Japan, So I don't know. I mean, it's just because I'm fascinated with Scotch. It's a completely different process. It's kind of like what I would say it's the difference between painting with oils, which is like bourbon, or painting with watercolor, which is like Scotch. And what I mean by that is you don't have a lot of grains to play with when you're doing Scotch. You have one. And then everything else around that is what then gives it its characteristic. When in terms of bourbon, you're going straight from the grains and allowing that to be the expression.
Right, yeah.
Right? So that's kind of like the two ways to kind of think about it, I guess. But it's a fun practice,
Oh, I'm sure. Shawan, are you a fan of single malts, whether that's Irish whiskey, Scotch, or American single malts? Have you ventured into that very much?
I have not. I have not. And again, I'm not saying that I won't like it. I won't love it. But I haven't, dipped into it a lot at all. Again, when it comes to that aspect. So, but I'm interested. Definitely interested. Interested.
Yeah, Scotch is
I got one. I'll have to send him. I got one at 10th Mountains.
Oh,
I'll have to send him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to send him some up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know they're in that DFW market. I know pretty heavy.
Are they really?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, they're in that DFW.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say the only reason I'm attempting it is because I've put my mark on bourbon. I'm putting my mark on rye, and then what else can we kind of bring to market and have fun with? And it might work out, it might not. But the weird thing is that for sure won't be seen until it's like 12 years old.
So are you? I don't know how much you can dive into it. Are you leaning heavy American style where you finish it or you age it in a new American charred oak barrel? Or are you leaning more Scotch and Irish style where you just age it fully in a X bourbon barrel, an X sherry barrel, an X barrel?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a really good question. The funny thing is most people don't know about Scotches is that for the most part, about 90% of all Scotches aged are in bourbon barrels.
Right.
And then it's really only like the last 2 or 3 months that you'll see like for Macallan's sherry finish, that's like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In sherry cask. Otherwise it's in reclaimed bourbon barrels. So we could probably, represent that. That'll be like the original. But what I've seen actually from like a lot of bourbon makers, and we just export it too, haphazardly with the Chardonnay cask finish is French oak barrels. Just like raw French oak, non-charred, super smooth and silky. The same thing they use in wine. So it's like you start looking at like why what let's do something with just French oak and see what happens.
Okay.
But the problem is with a lot of that stuff is you have to have a really nice firm business base to be able to start exploring things like that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's taken Ghostwood at least, we're in the 4th year of our business, 5th year next year, to get to a point where we can start feeling comfortable with say, well, let's put 10 barrels aside and just see what happens.
Right.
That's a lot of
tough.
juice.
Yeah.
And the same thing to be said with Scotch and stuff like that. So it's really having that firm footing, in the business. And also to be like, well, screw it. If we didn't think it was that big and successful, we'll find a market for it somewhere.
No, absolutely.
See if we can get rid of it.
I got you.
We'll just send you guys a barrel. This one sucks.
Yeah,
You want to try it?
Take it, please. Take that. So, Shawan, kind of same thing. You just celebrated with the Heart of a Lion anniversary cigar. What's kind of year 3, year 4? What are you working on?
So really, it's really started now. At year 2 is traveling. So again, I wanted to make sure when we had this brand, we took care of Dallas as much as we could. Right. Would I like to be in every shop in Dallas? Yes, but then again, no, because you want to make sure that you have enough. Dallas-Fort Worth is a big area.
Yes,
right?
huge market.
So I want it to be not necessarily represented with 10 lounges close together. No, I want it to be 10 lounges across the Metroplex. So that's what we're working on now is expansion. I had my first opportunity to go to Memphis, which is kind of on the borderline of Mississippi as well. This past July, I did a golf tournament. And I met so many different individuals from South Mississippi, from Nashville, from Kentucky, that all were at this golf tournament where now I'm I'm having connections with lounges in those respective areas. So it's really expansion right now. Where I'm not looking to release another cigar at this point. I have enough. But now it's like, hey, let's go out. I went to Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. I'm actually in Houston back-to-back weeks, the 26th and the 2nd, to do to work that market out there as well. So again, I don't have any sales reps.
Wait a minute, the 26th of October?
Yes.
Interesting. I'll be close. I'll be in Webster.
There you go.
My niece is celebrating her birthday, and we're doing it at Great Wolf Lodge, the new Great Wolf Lodge that opened up in Webster.
Nice. Where at in Houston are you going to be on those 2 back-to-back weeks?
So I actually have an event at Cigar Lounges. So the 26th will be A1 Cigar Lounge on Saturday morning from 11 to 5.
Okay.
And then the following week I'll be in Spring, which is of course north of Houston.
Yeah.
And I'll be at a night event there from like 7 to like midnight. So 2 different lounges, 2 different sides of town, but again, just trying to expand. And again, year 3, maybe we start looking at adding some reps to because I can't go everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
I can't go everywhere. But that is something I'm working on right now. It's just expansion. Getting these cigar blends in different hands. Dallas is taken care of. Fort Worth, I'm still working on some different opportunities at Fort Worth. But now it's like, hey, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Texas. Again, Colorado is on the books as well. Here come pretty soon.
Nice.
And then Chicago as well is another one.
There you go.
Okay.
And then as
Chicago's
far north is probably Philly.
Wow.
Yeah, probably Philly. I did have a New York connection, but management changed in New York, so I'm trying to work with the new owners. But
Gotcha.
yeah, expansion for year 3.
Love it.
What's it take? Just because I'm coming from the whiskey world, what's it take to cross does it take much to cross state lines for the cigar people?
It doesn't, but there's different regulations, of course. There's different taxes, which that doesn't pertain to me. That pertains to the shop or the owner.
Right.
And again, it's one of those things to where you got to price it right. So
Sure.
When you start getting into these different states, my price points are $10 to $12 in Texas, and online it's $10 to $12. But a product like that in Chicago or even California will be totally different. So
definitely.
my wholesale price for we're gonna use California for instance, because that's the highest right now that I know of.
Yeah.
The wholesale price is like doubling their cigars at that point.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily everything.
Uh-oh, we lost him again.
And that's the hard thing too. I mean, with the whiskey
Sorry, I
world,
got a call.
No, he got a call.
There you go.
That's what it was.
I got a call.
Gotcha.
But yeah, just working those things out. So
yeah,
I like it. Expansion. I love it.
it's such a pain in the ass for whiskey guys.
God,
Oh my
yes.
God.
You have to go through different distributors, and then you got to worry about them getting the product to where it's supposed to be on time.
Well, it's constantly the chicken or the egg, because it's like I don't want to bring you in unless I try it, but I can't try it unless you bootleg it in here.
Right, yeah.
Right.
No, you're exactly right. I found that out firsthand in Lake Charles.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. It's a chicken or the egg. I love that analogy, the chicken or the egg.
It's this business, at least with the whiskey business and probably with the cigar business, it's constantly chicken or the egg.
Gotcha.
So
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I know I'm pretty sure Shawan and I have had this discussion. Have you ever had a whiskey made out of rice?
Okay. I have drank a rice whiskey.
Drink a white rice whiskey.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
In fact, there was one of the distillers that I'm good friends with up in Montana was actually doing a rice whiskey for a guy from Louisiana who was for the crawdad. For his crawdad crop. I think because he was growing a lot of those are done in rice paddies, right?
Yes.
Is that what I'm right?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Yeah, I'm from the north, so I don't know a lot of that stuff. But
It's a good quote unquote cover crop.
Right.
So crawfish is a good cover crop.
yeah,
for rice.
so this guy just had a crap load of rice laying around, and he wanted to do a rice whiskey, and I'm like, okay. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I tried it, and I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a completely different flavor, I don't know if it'll take off, really. I mean, it's a cool little, side flavor.
Well,
on the
well,
standard?
we've got one that I guarantee you has
Okay.
taken off. We would love for you to try
No,
it. We've
I'd love
got
to
three
try it.
different expressions of it. We have the
Oh, is that what this is?
yes. This
Yes.
is so. This is the
I
JT
think you
Melick.
need to start. I think
Yeah,
if you're
I
gonna,
think you need to
other
start
than the
here, too.
white label,
Yeah.
I think that's because that's a small batch product.
Yes. So this is a small batch, handcrafted rice whiskey, 100% rice,
Okay.
118 proof, out
Yeah.
of Branch, Louisiana. Our dear friends at JT Melick.
Oh, there's a
Media.
crawdad on the freaking
Yes,
label.
there is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
He calls it a crawdad.
I know. I
That's
want
cute.
to.
Is that what it's called?
No, we call them crawfish down
It's
here.
crawfish.
Crawfish.
Yeah, we
Okay.
call them crawfish.
Sorry.
By all means.
Sorry.
Yes. No, you're
So-
good.
I'm so sorry.
It's a good.
Are
yeah.
you sorry? You're close.
I'm
to,
sorry.
You're close to Canada.
Yeah.
I'm close to Canada.
Well, even if not, I'm like close enough to like the UP and freaking Wisconsin.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
How are you doing? Oh, nice. Okay.
So I am. We're gonna give you the stage here.
Yes, we are.
118. Okay, so this is 118.
So their
Yes.
normal comes in
Beautiful.
at 96 proof, I
Yes,
believe. It's right behind you,
96.
actually.
Nice. Okay. So this is up there.
So they just released this product a couple months back.
Yeah, yeah.
They wanted to come in. They wanted a product that was going to come in somewhere between their small batch 96 proof and then their single barrels, which typically come in between that 118 and 126 proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So they this was their version of a small batched, higher proof
Got it.
rice whiskey. It's 100% rice grown on their farm,
Yes.
distilled there, aged there.
By the way, I love it when there's new stuff coming into the market.
No,
I really
absolutely.
don't
Yeah,
care,
it,
'cause
it gives you a chance to kind of explore and
like I said, it's anything that that keeps the whiskey market on the tip of everyone's tongue.
Yes.
you
yes.
know? So I don't poo-poo any really cool
There you go. There you go.
poo-poo platter. Oh, it smells great.
Sherwan, have you had a chance to try the high proof version?
I have not. I have not, unfortunately. No.
No, we can change that very quickly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, it's definitely got that heat on the 118. But it finishes real good, actually. I'm surprised. This is actually really, really interesting. I'm trying to see if there's much. I'm trying to decide what flavor I would analogize it with
So,
rice. You know
okay.
what I mean?
When I got to try the pre-release version of it, and this is a little tamer than that.
Yes.
Is
but
it
the
white
pre-
rice or like brown rice?
They won't
They
disclose,
won't disclose the rice.
what grain of rice.
It's
they're
mystery
growing.
rice. Nobody knows.
So whenever I got to try the pre-release version, I compared it, and I don't know how much of this y'all have in Montana, but we do a jalapeno cornbread,
There you go.
Oh yeah.
and I
you go.
compared it a lot to jalapeno cornbread.
Okay.
'Cause it had some spiciness to it. It had that. It had a corn sweetness.
it had
I know there's
corn
no.
sweetness, yeah.
I know there's no corn in it, but it's got that sweetness, that jalapeno spice. That like there was a lot of that was there for me.
Yeah, no, right now what I'm getting is it tickles the front of the tongue, and then it hits in the center of the tongue, and it's super juicy at that level, and it's really engaging my sour reflexes and bringing a lot of that moisture into my mouth, which is usually, I like that as a good sign because it's kind of, this isn't like a juicy fruit gum, but that's what it's
Right.
kind of giving me,
Okay.
right? It does have a fruity, almost floral aspect to it, which is interesting because it's not. It's still a little spicy, but it's not like a rye spice like you would find in our Ghostwood, right?
Yeah.
Which is like right there in the middle of the tongue. You get that nice hit of rye
Yeah.
to kind of enjoy, and then it, like I said, it finishes really. It finishes like a peppermint,
Ooh,
almost
I like
in a weird
that.
way, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, it finishes like a really cool like spicy peppermint.
Okay.
Cool. That's a really cool take on it. Like
Yeah,
that's-
that's an interesting take on it.
No,
for
I like-
sure.
but I
Yeah,
like that.
I do too. Yeah.
and it's always fun to introduce people to new,
Exactly.
a new
Because,
style
I mean, let's
product.
be honest.
Yeah.
How many opportunities you think Lucas is going to get a chance to try Louisiana rice whiskey
No, absolutely.
in Montana?
I like it. JT
JT Melick.
Melick.
Yes, JT Melick.
Congratulations, guys. This is really good. The one thing I would say is I would like to see a little bit more body in it, and I'm not sure if that's a rice doing it, rice. But there's something about it that's keeping it elevated on my palate, and people will definitely like it
Yeah.
regardless. But it's like from like a whiskey fan, like blender, distiller kind of thing. I like something a little bit more in depth. And maybe it's just where I'm at today, and maybe it's the cigars throwing me off, honestly.
It could be. I mean, because that's that. We talk about that all the time. Definitely when you go cigars.
The cigar.
Yeah.
It's the cigar.
It'll definitely throw.
So then, probably what I'm going to have to do is get a bottle of this. JT Malik.
Yes.
JT Malik, just let me know. I'm going to check out your website and see if I can bring a couple up to Montana.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
it'd be really cool. No, this is very good, actually. Interesting. Is that me or you?
It's probably sure. It's probably something.
Yeah.
So, Sherwan, kind of along those same lines, you've gotten to try the white label JT Malik.
Yeah, that's good.
What are your thoughts on it? Because that was one of the ones you recommended I bring as part of a good pairing for the anniversary. From a bourbon fan going to a rice whiskey, what are your thoughts on a 100% rice whiskey from JT Malik?
Let me tell you what. I got to meet them, the husband and wife, at the Whiskey Fest.
Yes.
Right? And it was at the end of the show. Of course, Bucky was hyping them up as much as he could, right? So I'm like, I want the opportunity to meet them. And again, when I did, and they gave me my first bottle, and I was like, wait, how much I owe you? Like, no, that's it. I'm like, okay. When I took it back home, and I said, wow. I initially was thinking about a pairing. The first pairing I did do was the Connecticut, a little bit more mild. And then the second one I did the Leo. Of course, I got to go back to the home front. Did the Leo, and then third and fourth I did what I'm smoking now, the Lioness, and then I did the Queen.
There you go.
Every single cigar that I paired with that JT Malik, it was phenomenal. I mean, you talk about something that's very different. Of course, when you're thinking about some of the pairings that I've done with Heart of a Lion, that was just a different for it. It was different. And again, I posted it and I immediately said, "Wow!" So again,
which you've had
again, it was a nice pairing. I did have the blue label, the dark blue one. I forgot what is it? That one.
The Longhorn pick.
Do you know which? Because those are all single barrels. Do you know who?
Right now. Yeah.
What's the proof on this?
It was
123.9. So jeez. So a little bit hotter than what he's like. Damn it!
They're just like, come on.
Completely skipped the 90 proof.
Yeah, we completely we may circle back to the 90 in a second, maybe.
No, it's okay.
He's blowing it.
He's like.
This one, so
gotta give it some air.
The Longhorn Liquor Single Barrel Select reminds me of maple syrup pancakes. Like it's soup. Like it's completely different than what
it's completely different than what you just did with the 118.
I gotta ask. It says Providence style on here. I wonder does anyone know what that is?
Ooh, I've never asked that question.
Distilled from Louisiana rice Providence style. It sounds cool.
Yeah, no, it definitely.
Marketing terms.
I'll have to ask Mia that.
I have to use that on mine. We have Providence style grains in Montana.
There you go.
I'm sure it has something to do with where they're located. And
probably. Yeah.
How because JT Malik, if I'm not mistaken, was like a great uncle who started. It
says it on the neck actually.
Yeah. So I'm sure it has something to do with
1896.
Yes.
Yeah. So probably way more than two greats. But
yes.
But when did they release it?
What's that?
When did they release it?
JT Malik.
Ooh. 2022.
Yeah, 2022.
Okay.
But when it came up here, I thought I sent a picture for it. I'm gonna look for it.
Oh, goody. If you got an early one, it was probably goody.
Specs. I get it from Specs.
Okay. Yeah. So
I'm trying to think.
This year is the first year in Texas, quote unquote, first true year in Texas.
Yes.
They did a trial run with Goody. I call it a trial run. She'll call it something different. But it was kind of a soft release in Texas with Goody. That was the first time I had ever seen it in the state of Texas, was at a Goody whenever I went last year.
Yeah, you had that boat thing in Dallas.
To a training thing in Dallas. That was the first time I'd ever seen it. But this year is their first full year in Texas. I wouldn't be if you got it this year, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Specs pick.
Yeah.
Specs has already released, I think, 5 or 6 barrels that they've picked. But I mean, the Rabbit store is quite large in this state.
Very quite large. Yes.
April. April's when I got it.
Okay, so
it was
it was a probably Barrel
Was
286.
297.
297.
297.
Yep.
What, 121?
128.
128. Oh,
128.
dang. Oh, you got a hot. Oh, yeah. The Dallas area got one of the hotter ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, 128.
Ooh, that's hot.
So this is
I'll send it to you as well.
Barrel 151? 181?
No, mine is 257.
257?
I think is what it says. That's either a 2 or a 1. I'm going 257? 157?
251.
251. Is that a 1? That looks like a 7 to me.
Yeah, it's 251.
Okay, so it is 251.
I don't know. I made it a hashtag whenever we were about to release it.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that's a 1.
Barrel 251 or something. I made it a hashtag.
I'm getting old.
Because I saw the sample bottle sitting on the table whenever I had a meeting with them, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You know, it's kind of one of those moments where you're like, oh shit, this is that's a thing.
Right, yeah.
But that's an awesome label, too.
No, it really is.
Yeah, they're
Her mom, Mia's mom, designed the label.
Yes.
Get out, really?
So initially, they hired this marketing company to make a label.
That's
And
always everyone's first
They've got a
mistake.
giant poster, right? They've got a giant poster in their like office or meeting room
Yeah.
that's got all these different styles of label, and it's all based on this. Well, they were like, nope. So her mom came in and designed the label,
That's
and that's
awesome.
the one they went
And that's
with,
how
which
they
is
went
really
with
cool.
it, yeah.
I like it a lot. This is really cool. And even at the super hot level, what was it?
And so these,
I don't even know if that one's a super hot one or not because I hadn't seen what the legacy.
so all of
is.
these are coming in at about 4 years old.
Yeah, and that's one of the
Yeah, we probably should have went with the legacy because it's 110.
So here's the deal with the legacy, and Sherwan, that's going to be one that we'll shake hands on that I want to send you because I know you
Yes.
hadn't had a chance to try it. The legacy is a really cool story. So
Yeah.
when they first started and got the idea of doing whiskey, they bought 30-gallon barrels thinking those were the big ones because they had never made whiskey before. They bought 30-gallon barrels and were like, yeah, we're going to do this whiskey thing.
Yeah.
Well, they came out with a batch in 2021, like November of 2021,
Right.
that was called the Founders Edition. And it was their 30-gallon barrels. They blended it, blah, 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 released it as a holiday special. Well, then it took off in 2022. It became small batch, and they figured out the whole 53-gallon barrel thing.
Yeah.
So they left some behind and let it age. And it's almost 7 years old
Oh,
in
nice.
30-gallon barrels in Louisiana. So humidity, heat, blah, blah, blah.
No, they'll get color on those real quick.
So that's why it's as
Yeah.
dark as it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's super. Yeah.
So this was what was left over of that,
Of that 30.
Initial 30-gallon barrel batch.
You know what's interesting is that's not an uncommon starting position for a lot of distilleries
Yeah.
is to get those 30-gallon barrels, and they're a little bit cheaper to buy. You can, because of that constant smaller contact with the whiskey and the
Right.
wood, it ages a little bit faster. So you can kind of, the inside baseball on some of this stuff is kind of interesting. So legally to be called a bourbon, it needs to be at least 2 years old,
Right.
right? But there were, back in the early days of the craft distilling, Wild Wild West, there was a bunch of like 1.5s, 1.8s
Yeah,
coming
so
into market because they were in these 30-gallon
I
barrels.
have a Still Austin, the first barrels, and
Yeah.
it's only
Only what?
a year old.
A year old?
Yeah, your mic's going out.
It's only a year old.
Yeah, see what I mean? So that's one of those things. So not saying that's bad. I mean, 30 gallons is 30 gallons. You
Yeah.
can still get a really great
Oh,
flavor out of
absolutely.
them. But it's just about that color aspect of it that gets really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting is like if legally speaking in the bourbon world or even in the rye world, if it's aged less than 4 years, you have to put an age statement on it.
Right.
So it's kind of a reversal of what you'd expect in terms of a Scotch.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Where they're using it as like a a
Claim
big
to fame.
Claim to fame, right? Because it's so long. That's why a lot of like Ghostwood, we don't have an age statement because we're over that line.
Right.
And I don't like being hamstrung anywhere between like 4 to 6 years.
Right.
It's kind of got its own little vibe to it, and we're blending a bunch of barrels to make it happen.
Right.
Actually, it's interesting. We kind of did the same thing with them, except for we never used 30 gallon. We started with the 53.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got 10 barrels that will hit 10 years old in about 2 years that we'll be coming out with.
Wow.
With a Ghostwood 10-year edition, and that's going to
Ooh.
be called Double Gold Edition.
Yeah.
And that'll be consistent then.
Okay.
Then going forward as well. So I'm super pumped about that.
I'll be looking forward to that one.
But I mean,
Definitely,
bourbon,
yeah.
in my opinion, I mean, everyone's going to have their different aspects on this. If you're into Scotch, eventually you kind of find where your palate hits in terms of that age.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm always telling people it's like I'm kind of like in the 15 to 18 year Scotch range. Anything older than that, it gets a little bit too oaky for me. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
The same thing can be said with bourbon, because if you let that sit in there too long, you know, like the Pappy Van Winkle's very smooth because it's been in there, it's been filtering for so long. But that oak starts to overtake the quality of the grains, and maybe that's, you don't care about that, maybe you do. Ghostwood is right where it needs to be in my mind, to have both the oak and the grains working together as like the best expression of both elements. As it gets older, obviously that oak's going to start kind of creeping into that process. So it's just your personal flavor and your personal experience with whiskey in general. But I'm looking forward to getting at least that 10-year out, because I think
there you go.
Anything older than that, and I think, like I said, it just gets like a nice smooth oaky,
because I feel like
thing, you know,
in my personal opinion,
personality.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because in my personal opinion, that 6-year mark is where kind of the magic is happening. But 4 to 6 year old whiskey is absolutely fantastic, because that's the majority of what's on the market. Is you'll find 4 to 6 year old whiskey.
Right.
But at that 6-year mark, you start seeing things that are changing it just a little bit more. And then that 8-year mark is more. And then I think once you start to get to that 10, 12, Pappy Van Winkle 23, now you're talking about this tannin bomb.
Yes.
And it's not going to fit a lot of people's palate. But that's one of the cool things about, and that, again, you're experimenting. It's all different.
But that's education on the market too,
right?
You know,
because you're saying a 10-year
by the Scotch industry to be like old is good,
right? Old is good. Is it? Like JT Millick is releasing their 6-year in a 53-gallon barrel this year.
That's awesome.
So it'll be released this month in a couple weeks. It's their first ever 6-year 53-gallon barrel small batch release, which is really cool. And I would love to see how it's progressed over the years. Well, I can say the same thing with Ghostwood and what you're doing, because you are a lot further north than what we are.
Right.
What is your 4 to 6 year product versus your 10-year product? And then, you know, I don't know what you have planned for the future, but if a 15-year product were to show up, like I am genuinely curious of how does that affect what you're doing? I
love that though, because the average age, I would say, of any Ghostwood whiskey, at least the 90 proof and the 114 and the Chardonnay cask, although that's a little bit older because we added 3 months onto it. And all of those are kind of averaging around the 5 to 6 year mark. Like that's the sweet spot. Most people don't know is like Jack Daniel's average age is 8.
Really?
That's 8 years.
I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? And I don't know what to tell you. If you like Jack Daniel's, you're a big fan of them. They've got a huge fan base. Hot take, you know, try a little bit better on the grains. Anyway, but
calling them out.
I'm calling out Jack Daniel's. I'm coming for you.
Yeah,
no.
Clearly.
No, but I think most people don't realize that that's an 8-year-old whiskey versus a lot of these craft ones that are coming in the market and have these much stronger flavors, much more independent kind of viewpoint to it, and they're knocking it out of the park. And it's like, so it's not really age, at least in that regard. It's about the grain quality, right? Is what's bringing. That's my explanation for it. But then also, you know, as up in Montana, we have such a long winter. It's like 8 months long. We don't have that heat hitting it all the time like you would, and so we really, I mean, that whiskey's really only moving for like 3 or 4 months of the year versus like a Texas or Louisiana.
And see, I was just thinking that in my head where you're going with that. I'm like, because we've made the statement multiple times on this show, and not just that conversation we've had with Shawan, and I have had this conversation before. You get a 4 to 6 year whiskey here, it drinks like an 8 to 12.
Yeah,
just because of the heat.
Well, you can taste the heat.
Yeah,
that's what's interesting. Why?
It's a humidity thing, man. That's the only thing I can chalk it up to.
But that's the interesting thing. It's not necessarily about the proof.
Yeah.
It's just about that heat getting into the barrel from where it's being aged.
I refer to it as,
it's like magic.
I refer to it as putting whiskey in an oven.
Right.
So
that's where you're at with it.
The only thing I can think is
oven, there it is.
The chemical process of the molecules that are in a barrel, because you get those, you know, there's certain molecules like a vanillin, and I'm not thinking straight on all of them right now.
Are you a doctor of chemical compounds?
No, God, no. But there are chemical compounds that give us the flavor notes that we find in whiskey. So I think it's the interaction with the heat, because our barrels are going to stay open a lot longer than a Montana barrel, which is going to compress and want to push everything out of it.
Well, and it lets it rest.
Right. Yeah. So I think I think at different heat points, I think you're going to get different chemical compounds and molecules forcing themselves into a whiskey. And I think that has a little bit to do with it, the heat versus the smoothness versus a color thing, and I don't. I've done a lot of research into this.
No, that's it.
And I can nerd out.
Is, yeah, I can too. That's the problem, right? Because and for the people watching, I apologize for this conversation, but it is really fascinating because it's like so you can taste the heat on something that's aged in Texas or even Kentucky, versus something that's aged in Montana. Over the same course of time, you're going to have a different expression on those different flavors in the grains. But as a result of that, I am a true believer of that more, and I call it more of like a Scotch kind of aging, where you put it in a cave and you forget about it in like this cold weather for like years and years and years and years, and then you kind of bring it out from underground like it's a groundhog. That does something. It creates a nice, smooth finish in a way that I don't think you can really capture unless you do it up there and give it that time to rest. You know what I mean? So I think it's fascinating.
He went to a bigger picture. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wants back.
There he goes.
What's up?
Hold on, let me.
Yeah, I had to change to the PC.
There you go.
Let me equal us out so that we're no bigger than you are.
There you go. I like it.
You're just as important as we are.
Of course he is.
So anyway, I mean, to wrap up that conversation, I think people, again, go and explore where these whiskeys are made, and where they're made actually has itself a statement in that aging process, and then how they do it, and then what you get for it. Because like this 123 proof, I can guarantee you, if I made it up in Montana, it probably won't have that same level of vapor and heat when you sample it.
Right.
It'll probably be a little bit smoother. That's my contention, I guess. I haven't gotten there yet, but that's just an interesting, weird thing to think about.
It really is. So, Sherwan, I'm curious on your end, because tobacco has to be aged a certain amount of time, correct, for it to go into a cigar.
Right.
How do you feel aging and climate affect the tobacco leaves whenever you're doing picking?
It does, and I it matters in the fermentation process. What we call it, of course. It does matter. Now, when it comes to aged tobacco, really, I mean, anything over 5 years is like rare. Like it's nothing gonna change after that. After the time span. So when you think about aged product, 3 to 5 years is normally where the realm is.
Gotcha.
For Dominican tobacco, you probably can go 2.5, which was some of our Dominican products are like 2.5, 3 years. But then when you get over to like the Leo and even the anniversary, 5 years. But after that, it's not too much is going to change as far as profile wise. So, I mean, 5 years is probably, I'm not going to say it's the max, because there are, some tobacco companies that say, hey, I got a 10-year age, cigar. It's really not going to be that much different from a 5 year or, maybe a 3.5, 4 years. It's not going to be that much of a change. So, max 5 years, put it in a, wrap it in a cigar, smoke it. It's going to taste just maybe a 10-year mark on it. So, but it does matter. It does matter. And again, you can kind of pick apart some of the I would say less fermented tobacco. Typically it's going to be in those infused, pipe tobacco type of cigars. It's not aged very well. It's chopped up. It's not long filler. But again, they're on the market. People smoke them. People enjoy them. I'm not saying that I didn't at a certain point. I thought that was the cream of the crop, right? But when you start getting the history and start getting to learning different tobacco regions, how they're grown, the soil, from pretty much from soil to cigar, that all matters. So again, some tobaccos are a little bit harder to get. Like I said, if I can get my hands on some Costa Rica tobacco, I'll love it. Some Peruvian tobacco, I would love it. But I'll stick with what I have for now. But again, there's definitely not a big change from 5 to 10 years when it comes to tobacco.
So I guess a question I would have is, what are you looking for whenever a tobacco is fermenting for that amount of age? Because like in a whiskey, we want those vanilla, caramel, those types of flavors. Is there something specific you're looking for in an aged tobacco leaf?
I mean, when you think about the age of it, right? And when it comes to a handmade product, right? The aging aspect is it goes in hand to the construction of the cigar, right? So in some cases, you know, a lesser aged cigar, you may have those situations where it starts to crack on you, you know, the humidity aspect of it. But when it really it kind of goes hand in hand. Now, some of the notes that you think about in a cigar, it really comes to the blend of it, right? Your wrapper, binder, and filler. So that does matter, but age wise, it really doesn't change the aspect of the cigar, right? So what you know, with your filler, this for right now, what I'm smoking on is a Dominican filler, right? But I'll have a completely different profile if I had, you know, Nicaraguan tobacco in it, right?
Right.
So that's where the changing of you know, the way the cigar tastes, it's where it happens. You know, the binder which binds everything together, really has a what you want to call it, like it's really an unsung hero, right? Binders really matter, you know, and when you talk about cigar. And then the wrapper, of course, give you some of that flavor that you catch on the front end, but then the filler is what you can get throughout the cigar, and even on the back end. So it really depends on the blend, right?
Well, what's fun too, I think, I mean, I would imagine it's the same thing as what I'm dealing with whiskey in a sense that it matters where these are grown, the soil consistency, the leaf variation, all that stuff I think goes into that, and I think that's to me as a crafter, that's the fun part for me. Right. And it's fun for our customers to explore that with us as we go, and that's what adds personality to the companies that we're creating.
No, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you're kind of following along on my journey in a sense, and hopefully I take you somewhere where we all agree is really good. But you never know. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's still an established industry, so you know there's producers out there that have fantastic quality stuff, and you want to try it, and you want to mix it, and you want to blend it, and you want to express it in different ways and characters. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that question.
I do too, and I'm actually kind of glad we kind of looked at it at the same time. But I'm going to take Sir Juan's thing a step further. A lot of people don't realize this. What humidity you store your cigars at is going to affect the flavor profile of it too.
Let me ask you, Sir Juan, since you're in this, and then I want to get to Jake's question. What is the perfect humidity for storing a cigar? Because Bovada, who's well known in the industry now, makes multiple humidity packs.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
At me as a not cigar aficionado, which one should I buy, and what's really the perfect temperature?
So it depends.
Oh shit! See,
he's right there. He's 100% right.
Let me give you some background. For instance, I'm going to talk about my blends here for a second.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
And I get to the actual answer. So, for instance, with my Dominican blends, I actually like it at a higher humidity. So 72 to 74 is fine for me.
There you go.
Now, when you want to talk about getting a long ash, right? The long ash.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants.
Yeah. You actually want to go with a higher humidity.
Okay.
Actually, you can have a long ash with any cigar with a higher humidity, right? Most of my contests that I've done, and I sold my long ash here, it's really not a thing to true cigar aficionados. Like, hey, I got the longest ash. But really, your tobacco is more humidified, right? I actually like most of my Dominican blends between the 70, 72, 74, especially with my electric humidors. I can keep it right there, balanced. I actually like the Leo at a lesser humidity, and it's because it's box press. You know, you do have some box press, tobacco products out there that, may not hold a light. You may want to start relighting it, or it may have a tighter pull to it. So I actually like my Leo, the box press, at a lesser humidity, where it's more like a 67 to 68, and even the anniversary. Anniversary is a particular blend where it is a Dominican base, but it's aged a lot longer, right? And with that age, you want to make sure you can take it up to you know, 72 to a 74. So again, long ashes, you crank the humidity up. You can win the contest every single time. But for me, that's why there's a difference in, you know, from the 69s to the 72s and but that's kind of where my happy medium is. I kind of like my Dominican blends a little bit higher than my like for my box press or my Nicaraguan tobacco. I like it a little bit lower.
Okay.
See, he and I are pretty much on the same page. Where I run my Nicaraguan stuff at 68. That's my wheelhouse. Now the box presses, like he's talking about, I like those at about 70. Personally, that's that's 68 and 70. That's the two that I buy from Bravada.
So
9 times out of 10.
Jake's question. So what's the real difference in a $15 versus a $50 cigar? Is it a lot of the marketing and the history of a company, or is there true differences in, let's say, a Heart of a Lion cigar at $10 to $12 versus some of these other cigars that come in at $20, $30, $40 a stick?
I like this question. I like this question a lot because I have to answer this a lot, right? Because you have a small brand like myself that's going to be around the $10 to $12. You know, anniversary is of course 14,
right?
But it's production costs, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you're a bigger company, you have exclusive rights to your tobacco farm. You're the only one that has it. You're not outsourcing it. You're not selling it to a third party where people can, you know, do private blending with. Those particular blends and cigar companies are going to be much higher because they're more exclusive, right? They're not, you know, again, distributing it to, you know, myself. They're not giving it to Fuente. They're not giving it to Placencia. So they have a little bit more exclusivity. So your cigar is going to be a little bit higher. Another thing that's going to be a little bit higher, you know, for myself, I don't own a farm, right? Yeah. So I have to go get my tobacco from this said factory and get my tobacco from this said factory. So all that comes into play with my cost, right? But if you notice, there's a lot of companies that have, you know, $6 cigars, right? But their $6 cigars are, and I'm not saying they're bad at all. I'm not saying that, you know, you have your preference, but they actually have a lot more tobacco than a lot more people. So they can offer you a $6 cigar and not shed a tear, you know, and it could be a very phenomenal cigar, but they have so much tobacco. Look, let's get this product out. Let's create different blends. Let's create different vitolas as well. You know, you're able to offer an $8 cigar, you know, so it really comes a full circle to, you know, exclusivity, you're going to get a higher price. You know, a bigger name, you're going to get a higher price. It's just like apparel. You say Nike, you say Polo, you say whatever, you say, you know, Balenciaga, Chanel, whatever, they're going to be pricey.
No, of course.
That you can get off the street, or you can get off, you know, like one of our clothing brands that we use. That's why I keep my prices at a certain price point and not charge $40 for a t-shirt. So it's really, that's where the pricing structure comes. You know, I can get a lot more exclusivity with a higher price cigar. It's exclusive. Oh man, I want to pay $23 for this cigar. It's exclusive. He's the only one doing it. Versus, you know, someone with a lower price, but I'm producing 500 million cigars a year, right. So I can bring the price down a little bit more. So it's the exclusivity aspect of it.
Well, what's interesting is, like,
can you relate that to the whiskey industry?
I was going to say, you know, because I mean, for, you know, since, I mean, really the history of the whiskey in America it was pretty much locked in to pretty standard pricing until about 2008, when we had like the craft market just kind of start challenging it. So they've been locked into like a 200-year pricing war the entire time. And weirdly enough, I mean, outside of like the scotches and those kinds of things, like Irish whiskey aged, enforced a higher price because it's importation and stuff like that. But like the mainstays of like what we would consider the whiskey market, like the Maker's Marks, the Four Roses, the Jack Daniels, the Jim Beams, they're all low. It's a completely opposite situation in a weird way, right? Because you would think with that age, in terms of how long they've been in the business, you'd see now since the craft whiskey market kind of came up, they started expressing themselves in higher price points. You know, but before that, I mean, there was, it's just about, getting. It's basically, it's very by the numbers, board of directors, like what's the margin we want?
Right.
Boom. I don't care. Like we were going to do 500 million bottles this year. I want 30% margin. That's the price. And I want to compete with, Maker's Mark or whatever.
Right.
And that's the thing. And then these uppity craft bourbon makers come in and they're like, all right, I got a whiskey that's a year and a half old and I want $60 a bottle.
To me, I kind of compare that aspect, and Sharon will relate to this pretty quick because you have like the bigger cigar company. Drew Estates is notorious for it.
Yeah.
Drew Estate factory smokes are some really good ones, and you can get those things $2, $3, $4 a stick. Yep. But in the whiskey industry, you don't necessarily have that because you're not taking like extras from stuff that you already bottle.
Ends up in the drain and you just bottle it.
So I mean, to me, that's what I like. The cigar industry caters to all
everybody.
walks of life.
But what's interesting is but then I can say that kind of stuff, and that's kind of like the blanket idea in terms of pricing in the whiskey market. But I mean, and I can tell you, like I have a percentage I want to hit in terms of margin, and it's just the cost of doing business and the cost of making this stuff. I try to be really honest about that. But the funny thing is then you flip it and you go to like Louis the 14th, or you have Pappy, or you have like the 18, 20-year-old Macallans, and then you have the Beam or the Japanese whiskeys, and they're like, you know what, we're not even gonna like try to give you a break on the price.
No, they're just going to say, here it is.
$250.
$250, $350, whatever it is. And you're going to pay it because...
Good luck.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Because it's exclusively from Japan?
Right.
Yeah.
So it is some of it's marketing, some of it's history, but you get what you pay for. And it's always fascinating because it's like, the Founder Selects that I did, I priced them up because they're limited editions, and a lot of it was me just seeing if my customers could sustain that kind of buying power in a weird way, because it's like I want to keep it low so that as many people can purchase it as possible, because I'm introducing myself to them.
Well, yeah, because I use this analogy at a tasting I did for you guys in Lake Charles. Your barrel proof, which from what I understand comes out of a single barrel for the most part.
Yes.
You're not getting a single barrel at that price, because I think it actually it was like $83.99 if I remember correctly on the price.
Yeah, it's just an extra $15 because you're getting that much more whiskey in the bottle.
But I mean, and I know it's planned for 2025, but to this day, and we're almost a year into it, me and Jake still talk about the impression that your rye made in January of this past year.
Well, and that's what's great. You hold on to that bottle that's right there. And then you can taste it with what we actually release.
What you're releasing.
It's the same juice. It's just an extra 2 years old.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I am curious of when it does release of what it's going to be versus this one, because we still talk about it to this day. Because when Rick bombarded our studio, our little area, and we weren't even live yet, and he was like, "I'm joining. What are we doing, guys?"
It's happening.
Sure, buddy. Come on.
Come on in.
And he poured us all a sample of the rye. I mean, we were all like, "Holy shit! What is this? Who are these people?"
Yes. Who are you? What are you doing? Yes.
That's the rye is my favorite thing I ever created. Yeah. Honestly, and honestly, that's why I also want to give it as much time in the barrel as I possibly can. But to be honest, it just from the nuts and bolts of it, for the people listening, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, and people can check me on this, there's a lot of new distilleries out there, and everyone's working on new ideas, and I get that. But as far as I know, it's the only real good, or the really only 4-grain rye that'll ever be on the market. It'll be one of the first ones.
Yeah.
So
there's not a lot of them.
If you're looking to express that,
The only one I had close, I actually had it yesterday at the pig roast. Ryan pulled a.
So you did have one.
Well, it's not a 4-grain.
A 4-grain. Oh, yeah. I can't.
This one was a 3-grain.
Okay.
And it was a 95.5 is what it was.
And speaking of true story, their rye is going to be a 3-grain too.
Okay.
Yeah.
From who?
Whiskey Thief. Distilling. Yeah.
No, they're good too.
It's one that Ryan actually thieved and bottled and the whole 9 yards.
That's fun to do.
Story time with Ryan.
Yes, I had a lot of story times with Ryan last night, because I had the Woodford, actually, the Evergreen Woodford.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Very good. Candied pecan is what I got off of it. It was really good.
Nice,
it was really
nice.
good. Yes.
No, but that's the thing is like and then what's hard with rye too is if the bourbon market's like the Wild West, the rye is like freaking.
Yes.
I don't even know what Mongol territory.
Right. Yeah. You're like in that what they call the triple frontier.
I'm telling you,
that's where that's at.
Because it's like
the rye market's about to blow up.
It is because but there's no consistency in price. I mean, Whistlepink's out there with like $200 bottle ryes where we're like, okay, just because they're old and stuff like that. So ours is going to be about 5 years old. I decided I'm going to stick with the same thing as like our bourbon 90 proof. It's going to be the same price. So whatever you think of it, I mean, I love the idea. I want to hold to a price where you feel like you can buy it more than once a year. You know what I mean?
That's always important.
And for me, that's like $60 and below.
Okay, yeah.
That's my personal
I like
thing.
I don't hate that.
What I mean? So, and I think we can make it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you'll definitely do it. I'm kind of curious now. I want to see. We're going to have to hang on to what's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to hang on to a little bit of it.
Hang on to that. Yeah. Obviously, we'll ship some to. Obviously, we'll ship some to Dallas at some point.
Yeah.
I've got to start wrapping this up. I told you I had to be done by about 3 o'clock, 3:30 at the latest. So I want to start wrapping this up. But I want to thank both of you, Sherwan and Lucas, for coming on. This has been absolutely amazing. It's kind of been the first time we've really had like two guests from two different industries and joining in two different ways on the show. And this has been This has been so much fun. Like I genuinely enjoyed the shit out of this, guys.
When his face popped, like I knew he was coming in, but when he popped up, I'm like,
good,
man.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, Roy.
Yes, I'm glad we were all able to keep it a secret, and you enjoyed this cigar that we were able to share with you, because he knew as soon as I ordered it, I told him, hey, this is going to be part of Roy's birthday present. So
I feel bad. I should have brought a hat.
No, you're. I have no idea. It's actually tomorrow. It's not today.
But I can't thank you both enough. So I'm going to do a special pour for my last call. It's not anything special to anybody, but it's special for the occasion.
Okay.
For what I just went through. Shout out to my youngest daughter. She just did her first pig show.
Oh, nice.
She raised it from a little tiny baby pig all the way up to a 265-pound behemoth of a pig. It's a crossbreed.
Okay.
But it was belted. It was a beautiful pig. Nice. We loved it. We all loved it to death. It would come and hang out with me on the back porch while I smoked a cigar or whatever.
By the way, has PETA sent you any information?
Oh, God, no.
Your video where you were drinking whistle pig
it became a joke at the show that I needed to bring the whiskey for the pig.
Yes.
So that was a ton of fun. But just the way she did it and what she learned from it and everything that came out of it. Last night when it ended, and I'm going to fucking cry because I cried last night.
Oh.
Seeing her break down.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When that final bell went and they said sold, she got back to the pen, and watching your daughter cry because she's about to lose something she fell in love with.
Yes.
It's hard, guys.
Oh, yeah. It sucks, dude. It really does.
That was the hardest part of my night, and that sucked. So
I had that, not to compare what you're doing, but I had that time marches on moment last night. My daughter went to her first sleepover last night, and I was like, what happened? Where's the time?
Oh, some whistle pig.
Yes,
I'm breaking out some whistle pig. This is the 6-year piggyback rye. Nice. It's a single barrel select from Longhorn Liquor. Me and Biggie shared a glass of this on his last night with us at the house. But yeah, man, that was tough. I'm not gonna lie, but we've got a new one.
Email will show up at some point.
He's if you'd like a little pour, you're more than welcome.
I'm actually gonna take it a little.
I like whistle pig a lot. I really do.
That one, I was really surprised because the only whistle pigs I've had were like the upper end, Boss Hog and things like that. And at that price range, that's very difficult to enjoy.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed in it, and I was, you get this negative connotation of whistle pig rye, and you're like, God dang, I don't know if I'm ever going to enjoy it. Well, I'm going to tell you, this one, I really enjoyed it, and I think Biggie did too. So
I wonder. There's like a whole thing with whistle pig there.
And this one was distilled in Vermont.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
but that's what I mean. I think they do a lot of blending up there.
Yes.
So like, especially the older stuff. I mean, Whistle Pig isn't that old.
No,
as a
it's
company.
not.
So like when they're releasing these 15s and 20s,
Yeah.
they're putting some really good blends together. So nothing
Yeah.
against it for sure, but with this definitely seems like their own magic.
Yeah.
So finally,
I really do enjoy this one.
single malt rye.
Sherwan, thank you again for joining us.
Shawan, it's
this
great
is
talking
a-
to you, man.
Hopefully, y'all can talk a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I'll send you an email. We'll collab
Y'all get
on,
together.
on the whiskeys
But-
and stuff, man.
do.
Roy, if you've got a thing,
I always have one.
all right,
And
let's
I'm
do this.
And I'm doing it just for you. And
All right. You ready?
Sherwan,
If
too.
everybody's ready, I'm going to hit it. Let's go for alcohol!
Eyes of Texas. Texas
Ah!
Hey!
fight. Texas fight.
Oh,
I'm sorry you had to go through that, Sherwan.
I give it to him. I give it to him. I caught a lot of slack yesterday.
Me too.
And then, one of my
Your slack wasn't for me, though, which was shocking.
I know.
Like,
one of my
Bucky's slack
friends
was
from
not.
Oklahoma came down and
Okay.
and I'll share on my Instagram later on the event from last night. So they're from Oklahoma, but she's a Texas fan. So ironically, she had a when I went to Oklahoma 2 weeks ago, I got her a custom Longhorn Heart of a Lion hoodie.
Nice.
Oh.
She's the only one that has it. Man, I didn't think we are gonna lose yesterday. I know she's a Texas fan, but she loves our brand, and I wanted to make it special for her. So I gave it to her, and she was like, "Yeah, as soon as it get cold, yeah, I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear it with pride."
Right.
But
I'm jealous now.
yeah,
I'm
it's
super jealous.
no. Actually, I'm gonna make the same one, but I'm gonna put your logo on the sleeve.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna make one as well.
There you go.
But
But yeah, it's but it was great talking to you again. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Again, Bucky's been working on this for what, a month now?
yeah.
I know, he wouldn't tell me shit neither, and I everybody that knows I don't really like surprises a whole lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Because my anxiety level goes through the roof, and that's where it was. I literally reached out to everybody I know that was close to Bucky. I'm like, I called Jake. Hey, do you know who he's bringing on? Jake's like, I don't have a clue.
I didn't tell nobody.
I even tried to call your wife. She didn't take my call, so I don't know if she knew or not.
Ironically, when I try to do Bucky and Roy, I purposely didn't like the post. I'm like, hey, when you put it out, I was like, I'm not gonna like it because you were like, wait, Heart of a Lion. Wait, is Heart of a Lion gonna like it? Even though I was like, oh man, I want to like it, but we want it to be a surprise for you. And again,
Very cool. Very
This
cool.
was
on,
awesome.
on
man.
live again with Lucas, of course.
Yes.
The 2-year anniversary cigar.
There you
Yeah.
go. Fantastic.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Super
amazing.
fantastic. It was a good one.
Huge deal.
For y'all watching, stay tuned because me and Sherwan have been working on some things. We're going to do some Functional Gentleman Heart of a Lion collabs on
Okay.
whiskey and cigar pairings.
I got you.
So y'all stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Me and Sherwan will get together on that. We've been working on that over the last month or so too.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
we've got some stuff coming up. Y'all stay tuned. It's going to be super exciting.
Do I get to be involved?
Well,
Sweet.
I just said the Functional Gentleman.
I'm just checking because I didn't know about this, so I'm trying to make sure I
Well,
know
I couldn't
what's
say
going
nothing.
on.
I couldn't say I've been talking to him.
Like I said, the anxiety yesterday was at a 9.8. Now it's down a little bit.
And now we're at Functional Gentleman guest starring Roy.
There you go.
yeah, exactly.
Yes. Get
But
kicked
again,
out of
man,
my,
this is-
get kicked out of my own
this
show.
separate collab will be different from what we do with you, Lucas. But
Yeah.
but yeah, we've been talking, we've been working with it, and I'm excited for it. So
Sweet.
again, I always say my greatest accomplishment is always not who smokes a cigar and not how much money is coming in or anything like that. It's all about the relationship. So to collab with you guys, and again, starting this new collaboration with Lucas as well.
Yeah, man.
This is my this
I'm
this is
pumped.
what I always wanted. This is what I always wanted, man. Again,
Nice.
I'm enjoying the journey.
Yes.
I'm enjoying the education that Bucky's been giving me on bourbons. Of
There you
course.
go.
But again, man, I'm loving it, and I'm glad to finally be a part on a live cast on your show.
Look at
I mean, the
you.
comments sometimes, but again, man, I'm enjoying you guys, and again, thank you for the partnership.
Oh, thank you.
always.
Is this his first time on?
He was live with
he's
us at
live,
Acre
yes.
Distillery.
He was
Okay.
live with us.
All
at
right.
This
Acre.
is the first time
Yeah,
he's
because
been
I'm like,
by
I
himself
remember
and-
listening to him
Yeah.
on this
Yeah.
podcast.
No, absolutely.
So, but before we do get off here, though, I do have two things. Number one, we want to thank all our sponsors: Ghostwood Whiskey, Heart of the Lion Cigar, 10th Mountain, Texas Tail, Longhorn liquor. Yeah. Let me not forget that one.
Longhorn.
There you go. And not only that, second thing, Mr. Tom Morrow, who is in the comments right now, I have not heard of Limestone Farms, but if you want to send something for us to review on this show, the address is on the Facebook. We can have you on virtually.
Yes, let's do that.
He is a brand ambassador for them. So, yeah, let's definitely try to figure out something with that guy for sure.
Always love trying new stuff, but I have heard of Limestone Farms.
I'm going to check it out.
They're doing good stuff. So, yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you, everybody that's coming on and commenting and being here, and thank you for making the trip from Galveston.
Yes, thank you.
We always love having from Montana, period. But we always love having you in Texas.
Yes.
This has been great.
Yes.
Sorry you're sweating. It's hot. I know it's October.
Melting.
It's October, okay, in Texas. What do you expect? Shorts.
You guys are not sweating. Like I'm just like
Shorts and muscle shirts in October. That's what we're all about. But this has been a ton of fun. Thank you, everybody. We've got to get out of here. This has been a ton of fun. We've been the Functional Gentlemen. Screw your shirt.
Just remember, OU sucks.
Boomer
Cheers,
soon,
guys.
Get out of here. All right, y'all. This has been fun. We're out.
Yes, absolutely.
Cheers.
My tongue get what I deserve. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you.
Yeah,
This is
B-roll.
so real quick. B-roll footage.
Yes.
Tom Morrow, since you asked, yes, we will check our messages. But if you're
Yes.
still watching, this is Lucas Perks with Ghostwood Distilling
Very
Co.
nice, yes.
Check them out on Facebook and
GhostwoodWhiskey.com.
GhostwoodWhiskey.com, Facebook, Instagram, all the places. Our other guest that was with us virtually is Sherwan Mims. He is the owner and founder of Heart of a Lion Cigar Co. He has a website. He is on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's all over the place.
Yes.
He is based out of Dallas, Fort Worth area here in Texas. We absolutely love that guy. So, Tom, check him out. Y'all get together, figure this thing out. Sherwan loves to do collaborations with other whiskey companies for his cigars, so that's always a good thing. But that was all I wanted to say.
Yes, very nice.
Glad you're here, and yes, absolutely. We will check our messages and reach out if you want to do something with us. It would be a great time. We always love having new guests and new bourbons and new whiskeys on the show.
Oh, we are, before I forget, just in case he's curious, we are taking next week off. We will all be in Galveston.
We will be in Galveston. But there will be footage.
Doing shenanigans. Oh, yeah, there's going to be
There's going to be footage of the shenanigans.
Is that the food
This is
thing?
B-roll.
Are you doing the Halloween?
No, actually, I found this out. So the reason that we're doing whole
I don't know
B-roll,
what happened.
we'll B-roll this whole thing. So Greg,
I know we should have
you know
brought this
how-
up on the
Right.
You know how Greg reached out to us, right?
Yes.
There's actually a pub crawl going on that day that we're there.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
yes.
Nice.
So we'll probably pub crawl it up.
We'll look
But-
for Ghostwood there because we hit it hard this year.
There you go. Yes. Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
Should get something out of it.
Right.
But this has been a ton of fun, y'all.
Yes.
All right, we really are going to
Yes, we really are getting out now. Yes.
And
by
thank
all
you again,
means.
Tom. Can't wait to